All right. Hey, everybody. It is I, Hope.Disguised. All right. Tis me. I'm back. I'm doing a thing. I'm trying to come on at a more regular pace. What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? 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 So if you are new here, what's good? My name is Hope Giselle. Oh my God, Zahara, girl, I legitimately am trying to find your email in this moment. Could you please? All right. I would love to join, but this is a little, phew. What is it? What a little what? A little what? Zahara, girl, if you could, I don't know how I'm gonna get, could you DM me your email? That is so funny that you hopped on here because I was literally like trying to figure out how to get your email without bothering you. But this must just be the ancestors and spirit in them telling me that it's not a problem to bother you because I was really looking for your email. So could you DM me your email? I'm trying to send off something in the morning. Thank you so much. Hey Michael, because I know that that's you. I know it ain't Lawrence. What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? My name is Hope Giselle Godsey, and I am new to TikTok, but not new to these influencer streets. And I live for your voice, friend. Thank you so much. I am new to TikTok, but I'm not new to these influencer streets. And I have bigger platforms on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all of that jazz. And I just come over here because... Okay, yeah. So let me go ahead because now I see. I was suspicious last night, but now I see. But anyway, so basically, what I want to come on to do and what my purpose of doing is to get on here and have conversations that spark new thoughts for people, that garner a different way of thinking, and that really encourage us to step outside of our comfort zones and have conversations that are going to be a little bit more verbose, conversations that are going to challenge the way that you see things, conversations that are going to challenge the way that you've been taught to think about the world. Tonight's topic is, at least for right now, is HIV a gay thing? As a person who works in the HIV space to help make things a lot more accessible for people, what I find is that whenever we talk about, or whenever we talk to some of these people who are not a part of the queer community, when we talk about PrEP, when we're talking to Black men, Black women, and I specifically say those particular groups of people because those are typically my audience of folks, people will always turn around and tell you, like, I don't need PrEP because I'm straight. I don't worry about HIV because my man is straight. Right? That's like a really big one for a lot of Black cisgender women, where they will tell you like, oh, I don't need to be doing that because my nigga don't fuck niggas, And I think that that's very interesting, and it's also very sad because when we look at the numbers for HIV, what we see is that the numbers in Black heterosexual women are going up. And this is not something that has been on the decline since we've seen it happen. We've seen these numbers start to go up for the last 2 years, and those numbers are still congruent for the last 2 years. And I do believe that once we get the numbers for this year going into 2026, we'll see that the pattern is still charting the same way that it has been. And I think that a lot of that is because the stigma around this is that people believe that this is still a gay thing and that they are exempt from catching HIV. And that's just something that's not true. Hey, true. I find it to be quite ignorant of them to make those kind of statements. I do as well. I think the thing about it, though, is that we live in a community that enables people to feel like those statements are just everyday things. I don't think that people think that there's anything wrong, and I don't think that women think that there's anything wrong with saying, I don't need to worry about my status because my man is straight. And I always challenge them with the idea of how ignorant it sounds sometimes when you come across a man who says, I don't need to go to the doctor because my girl goes, right? And I think that those are just things that we have to understand, that those organs are different. Putting something inside of something versus a phallus where you can kind kind of see everything that's going on are not this, like, that's not the same thing. And you have to be in control and responsible of your own sexual health. And I think that in a world where we embolden men, we embolden boys to feel like they are invincible and to feel like they are supposed to be out here getting it how they live, and that young boys are supposed to be really out here just doing the do and having the sex and conquesting everything and just taking, whatever they need. We don't really have a world anymore where young men feel like they're also supposed to take care of their sexual health. Thus, we're starting to see a lot more women, specifically women of color, and even more specifically Black women, that are being affected by this. And a lot of it comes from the ignorant stigma that you can't catch it if you are not gay. And that is something that I want to really tackle this evening. Yes, it's wild. The lack of talk around sexual prep and protection is frightening. It is frightening. And one of the things that I've noticed is that we are really becoming more innovative with our protective measures. We started with PrEP. Right. We started with PrEP that was with no accountability and no consequences. Oh, trust me, we're going to get into that part. OK, we started with PrEP, and PrEP was one of those things where it started as a pill. You had these pills. You took these pills every day. For some people, that's cumbersome. And by some people, I mean me. I am some people. I don't like to take pills because I forget things. My life is very busy. I'll wake up and start my day, and just, like, moving around is just not always in my wheelhouse. I don't always want to move around and do a thing. Sometimes all of the things that I need to do, I can do by grabbing my laptop, sitting up real good on my bed, and kind of sort of starting my day remotely from my computer. Not everybody has that, right? But also some people, because they have a schedule that's so much more busy and they don't get to kind of sort of lackadaisically move around, that also will cause people to forget. And so now we have the shot. For those of you all who don't know, we have lenacapavir, which is a twice yearly shot. And so you take it every 6 months and it covers you for the entire year. Lenacapavir is also one of the most effective, right, versions of the PrEP that we have seen, because in people who have been taking lenacapavir, we've seen that a majority, almost 99.9% of people who were on the trial before lenacapavir went live were unaffected. And these were people who were knowingly engaging with people who had HIV, i.e. these were people who had partners who were living with HIV or are living with HIV. These are people who have knowingly had sex with or have sexual partners who have HIV. And those people were also left unaffected after taking lenacapavir for some time. And usually these trials that they run go for about 4 to 6 years, right? And these are people that are high risk for HIV. Oftentimes it's going to be people who are partners. It's going to be people who are part of the queer community. It's going to be Black women. It's going to be women of color. And one of the things that I want to remind people, because a lot of folks like to think that this is just a gay thing, is that when we think about how these numbers have affected people, a large part of the reason why they were affecting gay men was because there was an epidemic. And when we think about epidemics, we have to be very mindful about using that word loosely. An epidemic is going to affect more than a couple of people. It's going to be something that is widespread. It's going to be something that hits multiple regions. It's going to be something that really shakes the core of how we see a disease, a virus, a sickness. For cultural reasons, an epidemic is going to be something that goes down in history and has to be recorded for the sake of science to ensure that it doesn't happen again. And I think that as we are really thinking through what an epidemic means, we saw an epidemic for gay men because that is what people wanted to paint it out to be. When we saw this epidemic in the 70s, early 80s, we were looking at what the news was telling us about gay men and about gay culture, simultaneously while also observing laws that allowed cops to stop and frisk, that allowed cops to be belligerent to people in a space where they had laws against cross-dressing, and they had the 3/4 rule where you had to have at least 3 pieces of the 3-article rule, where you had to have at least 3 articles of clothing that matched the gender that you were assigned at birth. All of these things were also happening as we were getting this information about HIV and AIDS being an epidemic specifically for queer, gay, most of the time men, right? And so when we think about where we were getting this from, I want y'all to always consider the source. The source is not coming from people who desire this community to be seen as valiant members of society. The source were coming from people who desired for this community to be disenfranchised and to go away. They didn't want this community to have a voice. They didn't want this community to be seen as human. They didn't want this community to be humanized at all whatsoever. And so when you really think about what it means to have a conversation or even see news around the HIV and AIDS epidemic, especially around that particular time, they were trying to get people to believe that HIV was gifted by God as a curse to the gays for being gay. And that was an epidemic that was so big, so bold, so bad, so wild that people believed it. And it was on every news station all the time, anytime you could not go onto any nighttime, any daytime television show. You couldn't turn on the news for a while without hearing how the gays were dying. And for whatever reason, I would like to believe that there was some sort of sinister, weird smile happening with the executives at some of these news stations because they believed that it was going to be the end of the queer movement. They could care less about whether or not people were dying. They just wanted to make sure that the gays died off. And that then basically intrinsically created the narrative around HIV being something that only gay people, specifically gay men, usually black gay men, usually white gay men in circuit spaces, and queer Latino men were going to be impacted by, which was simply not true. There were just as many lesbians, there were just as many cishet folks that were having or contracting HIV from all types of risky behavior. And when I say risky behavior, I don't mean risky as in sex or dirty sex, because we don't use those words or that language. I'm talking about people who were shooting up drugs with needles that were used from other people that they had no idea where they were from. I'm talking about people who were getting tattoos in back alleys and those needles were not clean as well. I am talking about people who went out of their way to put themselves in harm's way for the sake of a whole entire other fix. And none of those things were being talked about because while we were having to talk about the war on drugs, they didn't want you to know that all of these little white boys and these little white girls from these affluent families were also contracting HIV from the drugs that they claimed that they were having a war on. And you can't be having too much of a war if the mayor's daughter, is also contracting HIV from shooting up over there off of Fifth Street. And I really wanted to have this conversation, and I would love to have some more opposition in the room because I would like to know what people think about this, and I would like to know what you all think would be a really great question. I wanted to open up the space with this topic because I want folks to be able to understand where my thought process is coming from at the early part of tonight as we get ready to jump into this conversation. And I also want people to be able to help me guide and shift this conversation into something that's going to be able to be productive, that's going to leave people with something that they can use or something that they can think about that they did not bring into this space with them on tonight. If you don't know, or if you're new here, my name is Hope.Disguised. I am not new to the social space, just new to TikTok, and I am here to make you think. We have a 10 crown goal. Yesterday we got 5 of those 10 crowns. Thank y'all so much. Clap it up, clap it up, clap it up. And we also want to make sure that we get these likes up because the more y'all like, the more people get up in this room. Right now we got 2.2K likes. My typical goal for every evening is to get us to 60,000 likes. We did make our like goal yesterday. We got up to 65,000 likes before the 2 hours were up. So if you are OG hopeful, thank you so much. And if you like this content and you really want to tap into some more of my more didactic thoughts, the thoughts that are going to teach you a little something that you might be able to flip your own coin with, then make sure you go ahead and subscribe and do all of the things, and make sure that you are also tapping that screen so that people can come in and join us and have this conversation because it's something that folks need to know about. With that being said, I think I'm going to open up the multi-guest feature. I come on every day. My new time is I come on every day at 9 p.m., but that is 9 p.m. Pacific time. I'm on the West Coast. I am in California, so it'll be 9 p.m. Pacific time. Typically, that's midnight EST, okay? There is a little thing for joining my fan club. There is also a little subscription box. Not y'all trying to make me log back into my own TikTok, Lord Jesus. I was already logged in, but it's okay. They do the things. I'm getting ready to give you all the little wop de wop to be able to do your things in your ones and twos. Um, I don't know if I can even do. Okay, allow. I was gonna say I don't even know if I could do this while I'm on here with y'all, and this is so frustrating. But there it is, like join my little fan club right here. There's a little thing that says join my fan club. Thank you so much, Michael. And so with all of that, you all make sure y'all are contributing to the gift. Make sure that you all are hitting that like. I see y'all liking and tapping the screen. We're at 4.1K, 4.3K. I love it here. Okay. Did you draw those pieces on the wall? I did not draw these pieces on the wall. This one was gifted to me, and this one is by an artist that I found here on TikTok. And his name is Quantrell. uh I do not know his handle, my bad, I'm so sorry, but yes, he's here on TikTok. He's a black man and we love him to death. So yeah, I'm gonna open up multi-guest feature really quick here. Let me see. I'm going to open up multi-guest feature here for anybody that would like to pop on in, if there's anybody that would be interested. And let me see. We'll see. Bum, 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 bum. Let me see if I just start inviting people, what'll happen. And y'all do not have to accept these invites. I'm just new here, so I'm trying to get the thing going. But anyway, basically, what we are talking about this evening is whether or not HIV is just a gay thing. And these are some of the things that I think are really imperative to community. So let me know. I'll start with True, and then I'll go over to Black Gay Weddings. What are y'all thoughts about this, and how do y'all feel about the overall topic of HIV in the space that we're in right now, especially with this climate?
Well, hey, girl, hey. Here's what I have to. Here's my thoughts about it. It really kind of makes me nervous as time goes on because what I'm seeing now in the conversations, especially in the spaces on TikTok with the younger generation, kind of like, what is it, Gen Alpha
Mm-hmm.
and like the younger Gen Zs, the conversations around sex and sexual, I don't know if I can say that, but sex and preparation and even protection, it's little to none. Then when you have, say, Gen Z, older Gen Zs, millennials, and older people saying like, hey, I hope you all are using protection. I hope that you all are going, it's kind of like, well, we don't really care. That's a thing of the past. And I'm like, no, darling. Um, it's really scary, and I don't know, especially now that the opioid epidemic, and now that you know substance abuse and all of those things are really kicking up. It's now making me nervous, just like the point that you mentioned earlier about that oftentimes when people are using substances that are the things, they aren't really careful with whom in which they may share needles with, and whom in which the tools that they use, which oftentimes is how many people ended up contracting the virus. And because of that, it also creates a stigma of shame. And then on top of that, we know you're now not taking care of yourself because now you're fixated on using substances and all these things. And so it creates kind of this silent cycle over and over again. And yeah, it makes me nervous.
That makes sense. I think a lot of the reason why a lot of this comes up too is because, especially within the Black community, we teach people very early on how to be ashamed of queerness. And then I think in tandem, without realizing it, we also teach them that in being ashamed of that queerness, you need to be ashamed of the things that come with queerness inherently. And unfortunately, HIV, and all of the things that may or may not come with it, depending on how you are taking care of yourself or staying on your regimen, all of those things come with it as a condition, and that's fucked up. And I think that that's part of the reason why I wanted to have this conversation, because I think as Black folk, especially as Black folk, who I think have a little bit more of a handle on this topic and have a little bit more empathy for people who are living and thriving, we know that this is not just a gay issue. But what I think that we also do understand as well is that it is most definitely and most certainly a Black issue that we should all be talking through, no matter what your sexuality is. Thank you for that, True. What about you, Mike?
Hey, hun, how are you?
I'm good.
Good, good to see your face. Well, first of all, thank you for the advocacy work that you have been doing and you continue to do in educating our community because, as you know, it is so very important. And a lot of the points that you made, I'm really, 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 really concerned, especially now with this current administration, the way they are, attempting and stripping funding from preventative care, from marginalized communities who are already disproportionately affected. And, we're feeling that impact the most. And, now the CDC is showing all these spikes across a lot of the southern cities like Houston, Atlanta, Memphis. We just really can't afford to be ignorant. We really do have to be vigilant. And eradication, it truly does. It begins with being educated, and just some of the things that I'm hearing from people in our community is like, really, you really believe that? I literally had. We were talking about this the other day, and I had someone tell me another queer person that well I don't use protection because only bottoms really contract HIV, and I went, excuse me. I said, please tell me that that's not what you believe. And he said, yeah, he doesn't, he feels like because he's a top, he's never contracted, he just felt like only bottoms, it's a bottoms disease. And I went, excuse me. So what do you think about that, Hope?
Ooh.
Because I really didn't have words. I was just so shocked to hear that type of response in 2025.
So here's the thing about that, because I also want to talk about the inherent homocysteine that then sparks the disgusting way that people think about HIV and contributes to the stigma, and also the way that femininity is used as a crux in all of that. And so one of the things that we have to be mindful of is that a lot of what we are dealing with is based on patriarchy and the way that people see or value femininity and masculinity. And I think that if you have eyes, if you've been able to hear things, you know that people don't typically value femininity unless that thing is giving them, something in return. And we all know what the something that it is that they want. And oftentimes, outside of the bedroom, outside of sexual endeavors, outside of getting what you can get out of the person who is exuding the femininity in this situation, people do not believe it to be a valuable source for anything other than possibly giving life, and that's if that person wants to be a father. Now, once we take all of those things into account, we have to then take into account the reason why so many folks dislike gay men, and specifically dislike gay men who also exude femininity. Reason being is because masculinity is supposed to be the prize. It's a thing that you are gifted by God from the heavens to not be born a woman, because masculinity rules the world. Men rule the world from the weakest to the strongest. You have something over every feminine bodied being, every woman that was biologically born so is your masculinity. And because you are man and she is woman, you own the rights to this kingdom. Gay men fuck up that system for people. And they fuck it up even more when they exude femininity in a way that completely devolves from the stereotype of masculinity that allows men to feel like they are the big bad wolf in every castle that they come across. And I think that that's a part of the reason why even other gay men, one, strive to a certain level of masculinity that they think is going to keep them adjacent to heterosexuality long enough to avoid being beat, long enough to avoid being ridiculed, long enough to avoid being a part of the crux that is being a queer person. But also, they do it because they feel like, well, also, if I hold on to this, I get to hold on to my misogynistic ideology, which is my girl go to the doctor, so I don't have to. My bottom goes to the doctor, so I don't have to. And those are like those disgusting habits that we bring over from the cishet sort of navigation of relationships. A lot of top men believe that they are inherently more masculine because they're tops. They also believe that they are less likely to be affected by queer issues because they're tops. They also believe that they are less likely to be ridiculed because they are tops. And thus, they also believe that they are less likely to contract things because if they were going to catch something, their bottom or their girl would know about it first, and then they would have some sort of head start to getting cures or to getting treatment after the fact. And that is absolutely false. But I think that if we don't start to roll back what it means to be masculine while also appreciating femininity that exists in all of us. We all have a yin and a yang. They just show up differently in everybody. But I think that until we start to roll back this idea of what it means to be a masculine man, we're never going to get men to understand that caring for yourself is masculine. Going to the doctor and prioritizing your health is masculine. And not expecting that your partner is going to her doctor is a masculine thing. A lot of men assume that their girls are going to the doctor. A lot of men assume that their girls are having regular pap smears and regular visits at the gynecologist. That is not always true. It is not always true that because you have a bottom that he is getting tested regularly. It is not always true that because you have a bottom that he is making everybody wrap it up but you. And it is not always true that because you have a bottom that he is not going to be sexually assaulted. And I think that these are things that a lot of these men who are tops forget are happening. And this is also a thing that a lot of cishet people forget are happening. Just because you have a man who does not willingly lay down with men does not mean that this man has not been sexually assaulted at some point in his life and just never decided to get tested for anything. And the whole time that sexual assault changed his life in a way that he does not even know about because he was too ashamed to be seen as gay to go and get a rape kit done. There are so many things that could happen that could lead to HIV that have nothing to necessarily do with being an active participant in a homosexual lifestyle. But a lot of people are running away from the truth that is life be life and for everybody. And HIV does not discriminate by any means based off of your masculinity, your ability to wield your dick in a certain way, or your ability to hold power over feminine folks and feminine people. That's just not the vibe. That's just not the vibe. This is supposed to be a scientific answer. You should have involved healthcare workers. Well, if that's the case, Tiki, then go ahead and go on your page and be a healthcare worker and feel free to start your own live. I would love to come over there and support what you have going on, Tiki, but this is my page. And so, it's an open forum. You could have requested to come up. If you're a healthcare worker and you would like to give us your opinion, I would love to hear it. But from the comments, we can't hear you, boo. Jinx, feel free to I'm sorry, Don. I typically go on order just make sure everybody gets seen. So Jinx and
it's okay.
Then right after. Jinx, if you have something to say, please feel free, and then Don, feel free to jump in right after. Jinx going once, boom boom. Jinx going twice, bang bang. Go ahead, Don.
So what you asked in your panel, by the way, I follow you on everything, literally Instagram, all of that stuff. Like to catch your live, I'm right on time with it. But to answer your question, it's not a gay thing. Because like you said, anybody can contract it from anywhere. Like how the other person said with people using substances and contracting with other people, that's also another way of getting it. It's not just a gay thing. You can get it from anywhere. There are kids that were born with it. Like hell, even over in Africa, there are children that have been born with it, adults with it. Like, and to the person in the comment saying this is supposed to be a scientific answer, it's not really. It's a lived experience answer. It's what do you see is the answer. It's not saying about statistics or anything like that. It's just saying, have you seen this type of behavior happening? Have you seen? Yes, we all have seen it. I don't know anybody personally with HIV, but I have read about it. I have seen it. Like, but it's like we want to turn a blind eye from everything that's going on and try to make it simplistic. It's life is not simple or simplistic in any type of way possible. It's not like that. Like, there are many different correlations that could make somebody contract this. And they have to figure out whether it's going to be a death sentence. Thank God it's not anymore. And you're able to live comfortably undetected even though you have it. But unfortunately, in the Black community, there is this stigmatism of HIV, AIDS, all of that. And I feel like it's because of the way society speaks about it. Like, yes, we have PrEP and all of this other stuff, but there's always the other side that tries to turn it to be something negative.
There's always gonna, and I think that there's always going to be. Please let this be. Yeah, Brooke, I'm not accepting you, my love, because I'm not talking about my relationship with T.S. Madison. We're talking about a much more important topic. So yeah, no, we won't be discussing that. I like T.S. Madison. She likes me. We love each other. Mind your business. Um. So based off of what you said, and hey Nari, based off of what you said, Don, the thing that's also very interesting to me about that is that there are some answers that do require scientific statistics and numbers. This was not one of them, right? Like,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just a regular question.
yeah,
Like
you
not a
know,
deep dive.
this was
Like,
not one of them. But I also appreciate the fact that you name that there is a stigma within the Black community around this. And one of the things that I think really creates the question that's at hand tonight, which is HIV a gay thing, is that stigma. It's the stigma, but it's also the fact that not only has it been said, but it's been believed for so long that now we're having these conversations as if they are true without the healthcare workers and without
yes.
statistics and without, like, we're having everyday conversations with grandma and them, and they are having these very like ridiculous but say it with your chest ass conversations as if they work
Oh
in
my
the fields
God.
every single day based off of things that we pass down. Well, if you catch it, that boy probably sweet. And so, and it's just like people don't even think about the fact that a lot of us are doing other things outside of it. Yeah, that boy just might be sweet. Or your granddaughter didn't tell you that she shoots up.
That
Huh?
part.
Like, have we ever thought about that? I think that there are so many other layers to this that really encompass other things. One, that don't even include sex at all. Right?
Mm,
Even if you are gay, there are some parts of HIV contraction that do not even include a sexual act whatsoever. And so
yep.
how do we have that conversation? How do we do it so that it's equitable to ensure that the queer community is not just villainized or demonized as these HIV carrying demons, Zamora, you are new, so I'm gonna go ahead and give you the floor, love. What do you want to add to the conversation?
Well, I can sit back and say, as a trans woman that has worked in HIV and the STI field for the last 7, 8 years, I've been in the medical field for that long doing this work. I've been HIV positive for 14 plus years, undetectable for 14 plus years also. I can sit back and say the villainization of the gay community behind it is absolutely, I can say diabolical, because like coming from an African American Christian family where I had to tell early on in my diagnosis that I was HIV positive, they thought it was only because I was quote unquote gay,
Mm.
not knowing that I could have possibly got it from being raped, not knowing that I could have possibly got it from being sexually assaulted by somebody. They just automatically thought just because who I was and what I stand for is because the reason why I got it. And I know working in this field, I've seen so many times like where the numbers are not stating like where there are African American women in the numbers, where there are not trans women in the numbers, also saying like how is this coming about? But they always want to focus on MSM instead of the actual whole encompass of things.
Very much so. I think that, first of all, I'm really happy that you brought that up, because one of the things that I thought was really interesting was I remember going to the hospital when I lived in DC. I went to Howard. That was my first mistake, was that I went to the hospital at Howard. If you've ever been and lived in DC, bitch, avoid the Howard Hospital with your life, bitch. But anyway, I went to that hospital, and if I'm not mistaken, y'all, I think it was something crazy. Like I just had a very bad migraine. It was just something like it wasn't even nothing like sexually related. I just had a really bad migraine. Now I know that there are some symptoms of HIV or STIs that do include like severe headaches, but that was like the only symptom that I had that could have like drawn that up. And what was very interesting about it was I was there at about like 1 o'clock in the morning and I'm doing all of my things. I'm sitting there, I'm waiting. I finally get back and there's this black cisgender woman nurse. And I say that because it's important. And so we're sitting there, we're chopping it up. My head is hurting, but I'm trying to be cordial because, again, I know the audience of people that I'm talking to. And this is Howard. They already don't really have the best customer service. So I'm trying to be as nice as possible while being in pain about what's going on here. And we're kikiing. Everything is going great. And then she asked me when was my last menstrual cycle. And I was just like, oh, girl, you ain't got to worry about that. And she was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, did you have a hysterectomy? And I was like, oh, no, I'm trans. That doesn't apply to me. And in that particular moment, this lady who is a professional, a nurse, right, is just like, what? Oh my God, girl. Oh my goodness. I would have never Mind you, the part that I forgot to tell y'all was that she had already decided what they were going to do in order to figure out what the fuck was going on with me. And none of it had anything to do with testing me for STIs or STDs or anything of that nature until I said I was trans. The second that I said that I was trans, all of a sudden, it's, oh, well, we're going to run this test. We're going to run that test. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And the first thing that I said to her was, I haven't had sex in months. And on top of that, I have not had unprotected sex in years at that point. And so I was like, I am almost certain that it is not an STD or an STI. And also, even though I was not having unprotected sex, I still get tested just as a means to know my shit and have new results whenever I need them, when I do want to have a new sexual partner at that time. And I had to tell this woman multiple times the exact same thing. She ignored me. They gave me these random tests and they sent me on my way with basically like some placebo pills and a little painkiller. That headache stayed for about 4 more days. I ended up going to my PCP at Whitman Walker in DC. And when I told her what happened and how that lady treated me, she was like, first and foremost, this is not like based off of the symptoms that you named outside of your headache. It is very clear that this is what's going on. I'm going to prescribe you this. You're going to take this for 7 days and you should be fine. Sure enough, my PCP at Whitman Walker, which is an affirming clinic, 7 days and it was done. And low key, after I took the first pill, I felt better. But I finished my regimen because you're supposed to. But it's one of those things where it was like, she was like, yeah, it just seems like you have an infection. I'm not really sure where it came from, but this is giving infection. I don't know why they would assume. And I was like, I know why they would assume, you know? And these are the reasons why I wanted to have this conversation, because it's just like, I think that people inherently, automatically will always link us to some sort of sexual deviancy and or some sort of sexual related virus, infection, or disease the second that they know that we're a part of the community. And those have always been things that have really impacted me in a negative way. Vanity, I see that you're new to the space. If there's anything that you want to add to the conversation, please feel free.
Oh, can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Am I too loud?
No,
Okay.
you're good.
I think most straight people are not put under the same umbrella as by the CDC standards as high risk. So the heterosexuals are not being asked to do a full panel. A straight person usually just get the regular, like chlamydia. What's the other ones? Chlamydia.
Chlamydia, syphilis, gonorrhea,
Yeah,
And HSV.
and HSV. Thank you.
that's the ones they get. And I think it was a study, and it's a study from like most straight people just do not get HIV tested. And I'm positive most straight people are walking around HIV as asymptomatic. That's when you can have HIV for years and
But
years,
not
like
not
a
have any symptoms.
decade
Yeah.
plus. The CDC, I think, well, before Robert F. Kennedy, um, they used to give out 3 million tests every year for free in America. But I think it's like 300,000 people that get tested every year. And that's mostly gay people or trans people. So I think they need to change something where you have to opt in when you do go to the health department
Mm-hmm.
and just opt in and just have that HIV included when people get their full panels instead of because they leave that part out.
I agree.
And can I say something real
So
quick?
Yeah, go
And
ahead.
then also, if you do not, when you go to your doc, like say if you go to the PCP or your or the health department, anything like that, right? If you do not specify directly what you're wanting to get tested for, they will
yes,
not run that test.
correct. They will not.
And
Are
you
you
have
serious?
Yes.
so serious. If you do, it's technically a HIPAA law that you're not. If you do not say what you want to get tested for, they will not run that test. So if you go in and say you want a full panel, they're only stopping at the main three. They're only going to do chlamydia, gonorrhea, and syphilis. They're not going to do anything more, anything less.
Yep.
Well, how
Exactly.
the hell would
Thank
you
you.
know what you got if
You have to
You
say
what?
have to
it's
ask.
it's crazy, but the thing it's the thing of that's it's the law, it's the rule of the land, and it's like that's how it is. You have to literally say, I want to do a full panel with a HIV test, a HIV rapid test.
Rapid
You
test.
have to tell them.
Oh, like that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, because if you do not say it, they're not going to do it.
They won't. And I remember
Oh,
having
because I'm literally just I'm a lesbian woman.
mm-hmm.
Cis, whatever you want to call it, I don't know.
Yeah.
But like, but to what you said earlier, like with people going to the doctors, they need to start treating that like going to the gym. You see so many people going to the gym, but nobody in the doctor's office. I'm not understanding it.
Nobody's in the doctor's office until it's too late, right?
Yes.
And Vanity, I want to thank you for raising the asymptomatic portion of that, right? And so you'll have people walking around for years, some people even decades, right? And they will have HIV. They'll have, even HSV1. A lot of people are just like, oh, that's cold sores, right? And like, while those are cold sores, but those are also very obvious signs of herpes simplex 1. And it's one of those things where, again, it goes back to what I was saying when you made your first initial point, Dom, when we were talking about how Black people kind of sort of have like become our own healthcare professionals. And so we completely stopped saying, oh, this is herpes. And we started being like, oh, it's just a cold sore. Because I think so many people do still to this day, have herpes simplex 1. And just because they don't have as many breakouts, people were like, oh, well, that's just a cold sore. And that made herpes more of a normalized thing to discuss without people having to attach it to the stigma of actually having some sort of infectious disease or virus or STI. And I think that these are things that we also have to combat as a Black community, is not just holding on to grandma and grandma them rhetoric, but it's about really creating the facts. Like, I love the fact that Zamora has been in the healthcare field and can give us this play-by-play based off of, one, what she's seen, and two, what she's experienced. Because a lot of people are coming at this from one-sided experiences based off of people that they don't know, people that they don't care about, folks that they have never met and probably won't ever see again. And so there's a lack of empathy around this conversation as well. Dev and Skeet the Sniper. Skeet, you did enter first, so I'm going to let you go ahead and open up. Dev, you can go after, and then It's Your Girl Jenny can pop up after Dev. Go ahead, Skeet.
Hey everyone. Yeah, I was just going to jump in because I've had experiences where I would go in and not get tested for things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my very first experience even trying to get tested was, well, I'm not going to say the name of the place, but it is run by AHF. Pretty much, that really does focus on HIV, but it was really for LGBT people, which is why I'm not going to say the name of the place. But they checked everything. Like, I didn't even realize that you could get checked for everything. But after that, well, that particular place, they will check you even if you have no insurance. So it's like a true clinic. Pretty much when I got insurance, I've always had insurance except for those 2 years of my life when I had to get checked for that one reason. When I got insurance, I realized my experience was very different. So I'm sitting there having to tell doctors, like, why am I not getting checked for this? And they're like, oh, do you want to get checked for that? And I was like, if I asked you for a full panel, yes. And it's like, I've had to, people have told me, who, I had worked a certain pay grade, and people have told me who had that same pay grade have told me, like, listen, when you go to the doctor, you're going to have to talk to them as if you're poor and you're doing a whole bunch of stuff that you're not supposed to do, or they're never going to tell you.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to act like, oh, well, this person lives in the suburbs. This person, he ain't doing nothing. And I'm like, hold up. Like, I don't want to have to sit there and explain to you that, I met people and I'm unaware of what happened. Right? Like, it doesn't matter if I did something with them. It doesn't matter if I share a drink with them. I want to get checked.
Yes.
So I don't want to have to sit there and go on a whole list. If I say I want to get checked, I want to get checked. So I will say that it seems to be, at least with straight people, there's a lot more of them than LGBT. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them are still connected with their families. So they tend to have insurance a lot longer. And when you have the insurance, even though it's like, okay, great, you have insurance, you do get treated a lot differently. Like, you're not seen as high risk, so they just don't check.
I love the fact that you brought that point up, because I think that there is also a way that people look at you. My mom told me something about the nail salon. And so if you're a femme or a person that goes to the nail salon regularly, let me know if this resonates with you, right? And so I remember when my mom and I rekindled and we finally started talking, I remember going to the nail salon and me and my mom were on the phone, and I started complaining because I had been to this nail salon before, and for whatever reason, the price that day was a little bit more pricey than the last time I went to this nail salon. And the first thing that my mama said once I got out of the place was, Hope, what you got on? And I was like, what you mean, mama? And she was like, what do you have on? And I was like, oh, I got on my little Louis Vuitton slides, and I got my little Louis Vuitton like purse thingy, and I'm wearing a little Skims dress, and and she was like, is your hair done? I was like, yeah, of course my hair is done. And she said, and that's the problem. And for the life of me, I didn't understand what my mama meant. And she said, well, you have to understand that in those nail salons, especially in the ones that are just like full service, those people will make up a price on the spot based off of what they think you can afford. And so when they see you pop in, and you pop in with the Louis Vuitton bag, and you pop in with the shoes, and your hair is done, and your makeup is laid, and all of these different things, these people will look at you and say, she can afford a $200 nail set for something that I would normally charge $75 for, because they're basing those things off of your appearance, and not based off of your bank account. And so she was like, when I go to the nail salon, I go looking like the most destitute bitch, like I'm treating myself to, a set of nails. Because when you like you're treating yourself, they don't even want to push the issue, because they don't want to miss out on a sale by telling you that something costs more than it is, because they feel like you're too broke. So they want to get something out of you versus getting nothing out of you. But when you show up and you let the bitch that just got it all, they're going to tax you for every little thing. Oh, we took your nails off, $5. Oh, we wiped the thing off, $5. Oh, we gave you a piece of cotton, $5. Oh, the drink that is free, but it's not gonna be free for you, $5. Like there's a whole thing that they're doing. And I've learned that in the doctor's office, the summer that you just named, they do those exact same things. They enact those same exact tactics. When you walk into the doctor's office and you look like you live a relatively healthy life, they treat you like there's nothing that could possibly be wrong with you, because they're going based off of their aesthetics. When I go to the doctor, especially when I go to a doctor that does, unfortunately, specialize in treating the queer community, it is great because you get a doctor that understands how to talk to you most of the time, and you don't have that dysphoric experience. But it sucks because oftentimes those doctors have built in a stereotype, because they're so used to seeing what they believe is this version of a trans person, this version of a gay man, this version of a person who is probably highly at risk, this person who's not. Just because I walk in here looking put together in my little suit and my nice little bag don't mean I'm not a person who engages in sex with random strangers. It doesn't mean that I don't do drugs. It doesn't mean that I'm not partying every day. It just means that I know how to put on a good suit and I got nice bags. It does not not mean that I am not a person that might be at risk. And it also does not mean that I didn't just get sexually assaulted last night. And so many people, shout out to Vanity. Thank you for that first crown. Come on. I know y'all got some more crowns than you. Let's go run that up. What these likes looking like. Okay, y'all are in here tonight. 16K before the first hour is up. Y'all know we trying to get to 60, so tap that screen. Okay, Vanity got me 2 crowns. Come on. Almost there. Now, one of the things that I want to say before I land my plane and give Dev the floor is you have to be mindful that everything that is a system is run by people who have their own set of judgments in that system. We are not working with a fair system or a system that does not, thank you, Dev, or a system that does not really take into account what you look like or what they believe that you might look like. And thank you so much, Tiki Chicken. Self-advocacy is the best way to go. Because if you don't walk in there, like Zamora said, and say, I need this, they're going to tell you what you need and what you're going to get, and you're going to leave there unsatisfied. If you don't walk in there and tell them, this is what I require of you in this particular moment, they are going to walk all over you. Doctors are here to be public servants. They took an oath. And I think that there's nothing wrong with telling the doctor what you need so long as you do so with respect, and you're not going in there treating them like they just have to do something for you because you got insurance or because you can pay out of pocket. I think as long as you are acting accordingly in a doctor's office, there should be nothing that you're afraid to say to those healthcare providers, because that's what they went to school for. That's what they get paid the big bucks for. And there should be nobody that's afraid to talk to their doctor, especially if it's your primary care person, and say, these are my symptoms. These are the things that I know that I might be at risk for because I know me better than you know me. And this is what I want to walk out of here with today. And unless you can give me a valid reason for why I don't need this, I would like to have these things done. The only thing or the only time that I backed down in a doctor's office was when I asked to be tested for HSV. And she said, you have to have symptoms, Hope. If you don't have symptoms, we can swab you all day and tomorrow, but nothing is going to come back because we're not swabbing at anything. Now, if you come in here with a boil, or if your lips swell up, or if there's something that feels awkward and there's something that we can test for, then I will give you an HSV test. But if you just here because you just want to get the panel and make sure you don't have it, you're going to come back clean because there's nothing for us to swab to be able to put in the system. When she explained that to me that way, I let go of that because she was right. I didn't have any symptoms. I just wanted the test. But beyond that, all of the rest of the screenings and the tests, you do not need to be showing symptoms, right? You are entitled to be able to self-advocate and let these people know what it is that you need. And one of my catchphrases when I tell them is that I know me better than you know me. Don't assume that I'm a good girl because of the way that I look. Because you don't know how many dicks I sucked before I walked in here or why I'm even feeling like I might be at risk. So please trust me on this because I know me better than you do. And typically that gets doctors to do exactly what the fuck I need them to do. Dev, go ahead, my love.
That's crazy. Hey, thanks for having this conversation. I was also in your live yesterday and I thought it was a great conversation as well. So appreciate you hosting the space. This topic is so close to me. It's very near and dear to my heart for a few reasons. Number one, I grew up in New York during the 80s. So this was going on very rampantly. And what they told us was, gay related cancer really turned out to be it wasn't gay related at all. We found out that people were capturing it through blood transfusions intravenously. Folks were getting it and then having children and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So it's really sad to think that people are still thinking in that way. Number two is, it's also as close to me because my mom later in life contracted it and she was in a monogamous relationship, but she didn't know that her husband at the time was cheating on her, right? And he didn't even know he had it until she got sick around the same time he got sick. So, and that was just a decade ago. And which is to say that more than we think, it's actually cis straight women in relationships that are having where this is happening the most, because the partner is kind of cheating on them, and who knows if they're getting tested specifically because straight people don't seem to get tested as often as they should. And then third, which be more importantly, is that we're losing a lot of resources on this type of research. It's still not over. HIV is still here, and people still pass away of AIDS related unalivement. So, but there seems to be this idea that it has left, and thus resources are just no longer there where they used to be a lot of them. So, just something to keep in mind. And then if if you have local organizations and like that in your area, to definitely like try to do as much as you can to help them in some way, because they could definitely use it. And a lot of the times, those resources just go to help people get housing or get tested or the myriad of things that could be happening in anybody's life when they need that type of support. But yeah.
Heard. It's your girl Jenny. I'm gonna let you go, but Vanity wants to give us a little story time before she bounce and go eat. So if you can give me a little bit of time, babes. I don't know your pronouns, but I'm gonna assume that it's she because you're
Sure.
okay. So, girl, if you could give me a little bit of time for Vanity to get this story out, I'll let you go right after.
Okay, that no problem.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Can you hear me?
Go ahead, Vanity.
Okay. I have a story time. I'm from the TS Madison generation. I'm from Miami. I'm 50.
Come on,
Um,
305. Sorry.
yes. But my friend who was a sex worker also, she's like 58 now. So she just got tested. She told me this like 2 months ago. And she said this is the first time she ever got tested since she was like 17. Not 17, but early years. Um, and she said that, oh, and she's positive. Um, she used to do blood play. Well, I think it's called blood play,
Mm-hmm.
where they have sex
Mm-hmm.
on their menstrual cycle.
Yeah.
And that's how she said she found out, because this man who she had blood play with came to her and said that she gave him something, and she tested positive at 58. And then she said, considering she never got tested in like 3 decades,
Ugh.
she don't know how many people she potentially infected.
Mm.
Because she's a cishet straight woman, the man said that he don't go that other way, but supposedly that's how she found out. And and it's a kid who lived with me in Alaska. I live in Seattle now, but she lived with me because her stepfather essayed her. She's like 14. She's a nurse now. Um, her stepfather essayed her and her sister, and I think he was mad because he gave a positive woman a chance, and the girl came to live with me. Um, so it can transfer to and the mother wasn't on her pills to keep her viral loads down. And he said he potentially, well, more than likely got it from the mother, and he's in prison. The mother is in prison. The mother was a drug addict. So that's all I really wanted to say.
Thank you for
So
sharing.
use condoms, people, if we're not going to do STD testings.
Use condoms, stay on your prep, get you some lenacapavir shots, do what you have to do, because I think also Joshua Kingdom, thank you so much for sharing that. I think that I also found out at a very young age that my father was HIV positive, and I lost him a couple of weeks actually before I was supposed to graduate high school. And a lot of it was because my dad just refused to take his medicine. Once I knew that he had HIV, he was just kind of really balls to the wall with it. And my dad was very much so like my grandfather. My grandfather did not have HIV, but Roosevelt, my grandfather, was a big like ripper runner. He was the man of the man of the mans. Like he was gonna take care of the house. He was gonna do the things. He was gonna cook. He was gonna mow the lawn. Like Roosevelt was that guy. And so anything that made him feel like he had to sit down for too long was just not for him. And my father was the exact same way. And so you have so many of these men that will contract or have HIV, but because they don't desire to not live the same quality of life, i.e., be able to rip and run the way that they know that they can, it really puts them in this way that I think is unhealthy, because they think that somehow the ripping and running is going to be the cure. They think that the more I rip, the more I run, the more I hit the streets, the more I keep my same routine, the healthier I will be. And to some degree, that's true if you do it with your meds. And I think, Joshua, you brought up something for me that I think is valid, is that heterosexual cisgender men have to be mindful that doing the thing that is best for your body is not gay. Right? Thank you so much, Vanity. Doing the thing that is best for your body is not gay. Right? Because I believe that a lot of them think that if they lean into taking their medicine, if they lean into doing, the process, that they then start to akin themselves to queer people. And once they akin themselves to queer people, they start to think that there's something wrong with them. Taking that medicine reminds you that you have HIV. Being reminded that you have HIV reminds you of the stigma around HIV. Once I'm reminded of the stigma around HIV, I start to feel like one of the queens that I talk about. And if I feel like the queens that I talk about, I don't want to take it. And then I'm going to continue to keep moving around and thinking that it's going to make me healthy, and it doesn't. And so if you have people in your life that are not taking their medicine, y'all, please do your due diligence on your side of the coin and be there for your people, be there for your friends, your moms, whoever it is in your life that might be having those thoughts, especially if they're a person who is not queer and they're struggling with the dichotomy of those two things and holding that identity. Please let them know that first and foremost, you got to take care of yourself, babe. We can deal with all the rest of that stuff later, but you got to take care of you first. Go ahead, Jenny, and then after that, I see Jasmine's joined. Jasmine, you can go ahead after Jenny. Thank you so much for being patient, Jenny.
No problem. First, I want to say thank you so much, Hope, for fostering this space to have this open conversation. I feel like things like this are like super important. And I want to add a little bit of, I guess the girlies would say, nuance to this topic, if you will. To give some context, I was born and raised in the DMV. And just recently, there was a news article that came out that in Prince George's County, which, to give more context, is predominantly like a well-to-do kind of Black conglomerate. And they said about 8,600 people are living with like HIV and AIDS. And this kind of, I guess, put the community, if you will, into a frenzy. And I was just having a conversation with my best friend who is a cisgender Black woman. And, when we got on the topic, unfortunately, the first thing that kind of came out of her mouth was, "Oh, see, when people sleep around and when men are dirty," and just all of these very like pointed, judgy things that just weren't exactly accurate. I had to explain to her that it's not surrounding somebody being dirty or getting around or being loose or any of those things that are associated with living with HIV. All it takes is one time. And even with that one time, that person that may have transmitted that HIV to you may not even know because they're asymptomatic. And so just going further and educating her in things with STDs and all. And I guess where I want to provide the nuance in this conversation is with HIV being labeled as like an LGBT thing or as a gay thing. And I want to phrase this appropriately because I think the misinformation and the fear associated with HIV has led us to lose of our siblings. But at the same time, for me personally, it provided a fire, if you will, to take autonomy of my sexual health and to learn the things that I needed to learn in order to take care of myself. And so I think a lot of the time as LGBT people, we kind of gripe on the fact, and we have the right to gripe on the fact that HIV is just labeled this gay thing. But at the same time, that fear that was instilled in us, I think for a lot of us gave us the push or the drive to want to take that extra step and learn the things that I guess our cisgender counterparts don't even really think about, like what Vanity was saying, the notion of things being asymptomatic. Like you could have, one partner, but that one partner could have had something and they don't even know. And so it's not something that needs to be framed around somebody being dirty or somebody being promiscuous. It's more so just being educated. So I just wanted to provide that little bit of nuance to the conversation that I don't want to say thankful again because we have lost so many to the misinformation, but if that fear wasn't there or if the misinformation wasn't there, I don't know if I would be so privy to the information that I needed to take care of myself.
Ooh. I'm gonna sit with that, Jasmine. I'm gonna sit. Oh, okay, Jenny. Okay, thank you. It was worth the wait. It was worth the wait. Thank you. Go ahead,
Thank
Jasmine.
you.
Okay, thank you, Hope, for having this space for us, and thank you for everyone who spoke before me. Just to give you a little background, I've had HIV for 38 years. I found out in 1987. I am 56 now. I have been an activist and advocate for HIV/AIDS education and outreach and prevention for a good part of that time, and I found out when I was still a gay boy. Then when I transitioned, a lot of times I wasn't, a lot of the doctors didn't want me to take the hormones and things because they said that it might trigger the HIV or whatever and turn it into AIDS or whatever it was. Because at the time the medicines still weren't very good. I watched a lot of my gay friends die, of course, during the epidemic in the 90s. I did eventually get diagnosed with full-blown AIDS in 1994. I've almost died twice, and when I got HIV, it was because I grew up in the system as a teenager. I grew up in the system because I didn't have, my parents didn't want me because they thought I was, gay. And I grew up in a Black Baptist church. My father was a preacher. And so they kicked me out. And you just can't kick out a minor onto the streets. So I did survival sex work, for a place to sleep and food to eat and that sort of thing. I eventually did, as a trans woman, got into sex work because I became a drug addict. I didn't have a lot of outlets because there was no support. I think now, especially in my community, it is a Black trans thing or a Black and brown trans thing because a lot of the girls will not talk about being HIV positive. I, in my community, know that I'm the only one that speaks publicly about being HIV positive. Nobody else does, because a lot of the girls are involved in sex work still, and you just can't say that to your tricks or whatever. That's just a big no. And I think a lot of Black men that I have slept with, they just didn't want to know. I know a lot of Black men who don't even to this day, cis Black men, gay Black men, that they don't go and get health care. They don't go to doctor's appointments. They don't get tested. They don't, they say, if I get the shit, I really don't want to know.
Right.
And I think that's a big problem. I just heard now that a big population that's booming is girls between the ages of 15 and 25 are becoming HIV infected.
Yeah, those numbers those numbers are definitely true. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and so and I'm just devastated because I wish a lot of times I still feel like I'm the only one. When I go into spaces and stuff, and when I do public speaking and things like that, it kind of breaks my heart because I'd be talking to the girls, and and they're sitting there going, okay, well, congratulations, Jasmine, whatever, and then they go on and do what they do, and like, I ain't said shit, and it just, it's just mind boggling to me, and I think, and I've seen a lot of the girls die because they and like what ACT UP used to say, silence equals death. And if you don't talk about it, and if you don't try to, do something about it, you're going to die. And people are still dying. Even with all the medicines and advancement in healthcare, people are still dying. And they're dying a silent death because they don't want to come forth and talk about it.
What I love that you brought to the forefront, especially around being a survival sex worker, is the fact that so much of the reason why there's also stigma is because you don't want your John to find out that you are HIV positive. And then I would assume that they mark people for life, because I would assume, like, I've never had to do sex work, but in my mind, I'm assuming that all of it is like a syndicate, right? Like, we can assume that some of these guys are coming to the spots because they're talking to one another and they're finding out, about they're finding out about certain girls through each other. And so in the event that you tell, your John, like, hey, I'm positive, even if he does continue to have a good experience with you, that does not mean that you are going to necessarily have a good experience with other people, or that other people are going to be as open. And the idea that he might also tell other people that ruins your opportunity to have survival sex work on the table. But I think that in tandem with that, it goes back to the entire thing that we're talking about when I ask, is HIV a gay thing? Because I think that first and foremost, the idea of survival sex work being a gay activity, even though these men are interacting with trans women who identify as women, who oftentimes are navigating hyper feminine spaces. I think the only thing, and this is going to be an unpopular opinion, we can talk about it later on in the live. I could do a different live tomorrow about this, y'all, but I'm not going to argue with y'all about this right now. I know it's not going to be popular, okay? I'm saying in advance. But I think that the only thing homosexual or erotic that is happening is the sexual act itself, if you are doing it with a pre-op trans woman. That is my opinion. Howsoever, I don't think that these men are gay. The issue with that is when you have these men that are equating the entire situation with being gay, it then forces the trans woman, I think in some instances, and y'all who, if you've ever participated in sex work, please let me know how you feel about this. But it's one of those things where it's like, I could only imagine that the desire to not be equated with gay men is also another reason why you wouldn't tell somebody that. Because the second that you say, I have HIV as a trans woman who just so happens to be a sex worker, it steals the fantasy from the John, which then I think in some cases, especially if you're a younger trans woman, it steals the femininity from you. And it makes you feel like you're a little gay boy because this has been attributed to gay men and something that gay men get and something that gay men are afflicted by. And when you've done all of this work to transition, don't nobody want to be compared or even put in the same category that you would put a gay man into. And so I think that there's a lot to be discussed. Like, I think that there's a whole live in and of itself in conversation around the dichotomy of sex work and men and the psychological nature that we have to navigate having conversations with men who entertain trans women, whether it be for a loving relationship or a sexual one. Tia, Zaya, you've been in here for a minute, and then Lady P, you've been in here as well. I'm gonna let Zaya go, and then Lady P, you can go right after her. Go ahead, Zaya.
Hey ho! Oh my God, I'm finally here.
Well, I see you.
Girl, what happened yesterday? I was waiting for you.
I'm sorry. What? No, I did. I came on at like 9:05 though. But I was on here for like a good minute. I forgot. People were on here yesterday.
No, because you said, I think because you was gonna do a panel last night.
I did.
Did you?
I did.
Oh, I must have missed it. No, because I put a notification. I was like, oh, where's she coming out? I didn't get no notifications.
No, I
Damn.
Yeah,
okay.
I did. You just missed it.
Damn. Okay, but okay, so it's HIV. Okay, so of course, no. I don't believe that HIV is a gay thing. I think that's just misleading. Because for one, it originated from chimpanzees. It originated from animals. So I think people were messing around sexually with animals or whatever. So I don't think it originates from people just having same sex intercourse and boom, HIV just came about. I don't think that's the case. So I'm just like, for me, wait, am I saying something? Hold on. Am I okay, Hope?
I think that I think that theory has been debunked. And so I want
I
to make
don't think it's something. I'm sorry. Go
yeah,
ahead.
no. I think that yeah, that theory has been debunked. Has been debunked, and so I don't want to be out here putting out misinformation. Uh, so that is a theory that I think we were running. It goes back. See, Don, you brought it to the forefront. Sis. That's that grandma, that's the grandma doctrine, of the aunties and them, saying the things, because that's just not a thing that has been proven, nor does it have any real merit amongst doctors or any medical journals. I understand where you got that from. And I'm actually glad that this happened in this moment, because we were talking about it earlier before you came in, Zaya, about the fact that a lot of people get their information about HIV from your trusted auntie, your big cousin, your whomever. And a lot of that stuff is rooted in homophobia, homomisia, and the desire to demonize the LGBT community. But then also some of it is just shit that's been passed down amongst Black people, because that was just stuff that we said. I remember saying that at some point in my life as well, but it is not true. It has been debunked. And while a lot of people will speculate that HIV was created as a biomedical weapon, nobody has been able to confirm or find it to be true that it was through chimpanzees, and then somebody had sex with a chimp and
So,
all of those things.
so what? Okay, so because I was going to debate myself on just with the whole, it came from animals, but then I also heard that it came from like labs or whatever.
Yeah.
How there's like an agenda behind it on trying to eradicate the Black population or whatever the case may be. So it was just something, I don't know. It was just something like the same thing for the pandemic or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's kind of it's similar to that. It's like the whole when the HIV and AIDS came about, it was basically a pandemic in a way, because people didn't know what it is. They didn't think that, oh, if you got it, if you sneeze, oh, I got it now. Or if you eat the same fork that I ate, oh, I got it now. Like, so people back then, it was kind of the same way for now, like for COVID.
Yeah.
So it was just, but I don't think it's a gay disease. I just think that's something to push on to the community.
Yeah.
Because for one, people are Bible thumpers, and they justify it as, oh, well, that's because God don't like homosexuals. So with that being said, that's why he made the disease, because he don't like you homosexuals.
Yeah, the homosexuals is gonna take me out.
The sexuals.
Yeah.
Hey, chill, because I'm smoking and you about to have me choke. Stop.
The homosexuals, okay?
They're not choking, girl.
All you homosexuals.
Don't do that.
All y'all homosexuals out there watching, I need y'all to understand.
Yeah,
you're going to hell, okay?
You're going to hell,
you're
baby.
You're going to catch the HIV, and then you're going to hell, okay?
You got
in
the
the
gay
hand
disease.
basket.
No,
Gay
in the hand
disease.
basket. Do you hear me?
But Hope, I do want to say this though, because this is actually funny, because recently, this is actually last month. So I met this guy, right? And his name was John. And I've never had an encounter with someone that had an HIV, or that I know of, but I know that my ass ain't got it. But all I know is that I felt like he was my soulmate. We hit it off the first time of us meeting with each other. I'm talking about we're talking on the phone every day, constant for hours and hours, whatever. And then I was like, you was too good to be true. Like, who sent you? You know what I'm saying? And it was just like, he's used to the girls. He's used to the T-girls or whatever. He know our lingo. And I was like, oh my God, you are top tier. But then I was like, something's up. Something's different. Like, something's off. Something's off. So then he tells me that, well, I'm HIV positive. I was like, God damn. All right. Okay. So I didn't know how to react, because I was just like, listen, I only know that HIV, what I knew was that it's a disease that you can't get rid of and nobody will want you or whatever, da da da. And I'm like, I'm 25, so I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to. But then he was telling me how he was on medications and stuff like that, whatever, and how it was not transmitted or whatever, as long as he's on his medications and stuff. And I'm just like,
I had to think about it because I was just like, damn, like, do I really want to put myself through this? Because like I know how I am. Like my anxiety is gonna be off the roof. Like what if he missed up on his medications or whatever, and then he gives it to me or whatever? And it's just like all of like it's so many thoughts that come into my mind. So it's like, how do I handle this situation? Because like we're already building a connection with each other. So I'm just like, oh no. So I had to cut it off short because I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. And fun fact, he said that he knows you, Hope. He said that he went to a college. He said he went to one of your colleges with you. What college did you went to? Hope.
I went to Alabama State.
Because he said that he met you before. I don't know, but yeah, child. So that was my situation of having a close proximity to like
That
HIV situation. But
that makes me want to ask a different question, but it'll take us off track. But I think I want to circle back to this particular conversation.
I was
Okay.
gonna ask the question too.
Yeah, we gonna circle back, Jenny. Let's stay on topic for this second, but I think I'm gonna save some time in our conversation to circle back to that. Chat, remind me in case me and Jenny forget to circle back to that before we hop up off of here. Make sure y'all are tapping that screen, share the live, and we also have 4 of our 10 crowns. Let's see if we can get all 10 of our crown goals tonight. My goal every evening is typically 60,000 likes. Last night we got up to 65,000 K before I got up off of here, and I typically am on here for about 2 hours. We are about an hour and 21 minutes in. I know we could do it, y'all. Tap them screens, send those crowns. If you are liking what you are seeing, share the live out to the people, because this is a conversation that needs to be had. Instead of us being supportive of the foolishness and the mess on social media, let's actually get some people educated and let's have some fun conversation while also learning something in the midst of it. Lady P, go ahead, my love, and thank you so much for taking your time and waiting. And after that, Kais33X, you can go after Lady P. Go ahead, Lady P.
Hey, what's going on? Yes, so I like this topic because it's definitely not a gay thing, and I really cannot stand like the stigma that's associated with it, simply because a gay man saved your life. Like if we're talking about HIV, we cannot leave Phil Wilson out of the conversation. Like Phil Wilson is a living icon who literally saved the Black community from because when science began to explore like treatment and stuff like that, they left Black people out of it. And Phil Wilson, whether you're Black or queer, put it in the community for everybody to have access to. So if we are it does like a real disservice to the people whose lives were saved because if it wasn't in other activists at that time. It does a disservice to all those non-queer people whose lives were saved. Like and just like knowing how this stigma like affects people's diagnosis, it's like you're positive whether you know it or not. Like it doesn't matter like if you're tested or not, you're positive whether you know it or not, you're still gonna have it. So you can't allow stigma to stop you. Well, first and foremost, stigma that doesn't affect you to stop you from going to get tested and stuff like that. Because as we know, like it's more people living with it that are undiagnosed than those who are diagnosed and taking care of it. And so I get why it's associated like with the gay thing, because it was primarily impacting queer people at that during that particular point in time. But it's still a virus that can be spread to anyone, and it affects millions of non-queer people as well. Excuse me. I'm drinking a Pepsi. But yeah, like I just think that's how I feel about that. And also like if you like, regardless of what we may say, like the stigma still exists, so some people are still gonna be like scared to go and get tested. If you go to a link in my bio, I do have, or you could just like type it in on your own. For all the people in here, takemehome.org is an organization that they provide free HIV testing to your doorstep, and it's in discreet packaging. You get 2 tests, so that can like help like eliminate the stigma. You go to the link in my bio, it's in there, or you could just go there, and yeah, it's takemehome.org.
Damn. Thank you so much for that resource, Lady P. I really appreciate that. I hope I'm saying this right. Kais, 33X. Go ahead, my love.
Hello, can you just call me Kais? I don't think it's no. I think it's an overall issue, not necessarily a gay issue. I think it's just a community issue with people in general. In my country, it's an issue because people like to go to condoms. It's an issue because a lot of people don't pay their health. It's not health isn't as prioritized. It's more like how much money can you make, or how much attention can you get via social media and one or the other, and people are living for their attention. So the average person attention span is so short. So if you do talk to them about it, they don't really care because it's too much information. Like the information that they need to actually make a choice, an informed choice, they are not open to because they've been so cooped up on technology, like literally the iPads, the phone, whatever it may be. So I think discrimination in any way or form will make things worse because when people are afraid, they will hide if they have any health concerns, and then it will get worse. And if they have people who they're connecting with, they'll hide it from them as well, and it will go towards them. The discrimination just happens because fear, they're afraid of one thing, so they put 2 different fears together. As we were talking about the Bible thumpers. That's it.
You know what I love about that. Also, Kais, where are you from?
Jamaica. No, Skeet. No. I'm answering some of the comments. I'm from Jamaica.
Okay, got you. And that's also, I think, when I think about Jamaica, a lot of folks don't even tend to talk about the numbers in Jamaica because there's not even research centers that are doing the real work to make sure that the Jamaican population is even being served for HIV. And that's something that I just learned this year when I was working with the HIV Vaccine Trials Network. But what I really appreciate was that you introduced this idea of like the both and. There are 2 things that are working in tandem to kind of sort of keep people from wanting to get tested. And I think one thing that we've left out of this is the lack of pleasure, right? A lot of people are contracting HIV because they do not want to wear prophylaxis, right? They don't want to use PrEP. They're not trying to remember to take a thing or go to the doctor to get their twice yearly shots. And I think that when it all boils down to it, people genuinely, right? People genuinely just don't like wearing condoms. I don't like wearing condoms, and when people say like, oh, it takes away the feeling, and people thought that was bullshit, it really does. Sex with a condom just does not feel the same, whether you're the receiver or the giver. It's not the same. I don't think that sex was meant to be had necessarily with a condom. However, I don't think that we were ever supposed to be teetering around with DNA cells and giving each other shit that wasn't naturally occurring on the earth either, right? Like, I don't, like, whoever created this bitch did not expect us to be out here fucking around with stuff and creating deadly diseases. And so I don't think that there was ever a desire for us to have protected sex because we were never supposed to be able to give each other these crazy ass fucking diseases and viruses. But again, that's a whole nother live.
Can I comment on that for a second?
Yeah.
I would say that people were more, I guess if they're more monogamous, then great, but people are always having secret relationships, so then things happen.
Yeah.
When people went to war, they didn't care, they just did whatever, and I think it was all okay. You come back home, things are normal, but you probably got whatever you may have gotten, right? We do have a lot of opportunities to get tested for free here. The real issue is that people just think that it couldn't be them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always promoting SKYN, the condom itself, because I'm like, yo, that works. That you think you probably had nothing on, you forget to have a condom on. I get you. Most people don't like to. You probably rush into it, or maybe you're in the mood and you're like, the condom is too far away. Or too much weight doesn't put on a condom. That's reality. I get you, but people prioritizing themselves a lot more is important, and this comes from it becomes a social issue, a cultural issue, a mental health issue in terms of valuing ourselves more as individuals, facing ourselves, things like this. So that's very important. Again, a lot of things are working together to create these issues. And we could go off in so many different directions. You get me? But the whole point is that I would say that what you can do as an individual is to allow a space for others to be willing to be open about themselves as is, and encourage them to care for themselves and those around them in that regard.
Completely and 110% agreed. And I thank you, because I'm assuming that you're a straight man. Assuming, I don't
Yes,
know.
but I have friends I'm close to, and I mean, people are people. You have them try, some of them preference, and that's just it. But they're still people.
Yeah, but I think that even in this conversation, it's really refreshing to, first of all, because I know you know the reputation that Jamaican, and especially Jamaican men, have around, the queer community, and so I think that
Yes.
it's refreshing to have a Jamaican man not only up here talking about HIV, but talking about HIV with members of the queer community, and being able to do so in a way that sees the humanity of everybody here and is able to give out, resources and talk through your experience as a straight man and understanding why some men are also like being affected by this because they don't want to wear condoms, or because there is, all of these things. So it kind of really reinforces the nature of why these conversations are so important. And it's because we have to be talking to each other. If we stop talking to each other, or if we allow things like sexuality to keep us from sharing this information, we continue to fall victim to the statistics and the stereotypes, and we continue to die. Which I think is something that we all want to avoid. So I really appreciate your voice here, Kais, and I appreciate you for being willing to come up here, talk, share all the things. Tessa, go ahead, my love.
Hey everyone. I think with this conversation, stigma is definitely, and stereotypes is definitely one of the biggest things that I feel is keeping this rhetoric alive, especially saying, working in this field and then seeing the statistics beyond anything else and seeing who it affects. I think for me, we should start moving away from it being such much of a gay thing to just a human thing at this point, right? Because not only does, statistics show that it's heavy within our woman population, cis and trans, I think that is where we should start having, taking the bias in the conversation and just stating that it's a gay thing, really. That's kind of the little parts that I wanted to add into the conversation.
No, absolutely. So I want to, for the folks who have not been here for the entire time, what's up? How y'all doing? Hey, my name is Hope.Disguised, and I am not new to the social media space. I'm just new to TikTok, and I wanted to come over here to invite people to have open and honest dialogue about a multitude of different topics. So we are going to do that pretty much every night around 9 p.m. PST time, about 12 p.m. midnight EST time, and 11 p.m. CST Central Time. With that being said, we are here to open up dialogue, have fun, but informational conversation. This is a no nonsense, no bullshit zone. We don't have to always agree, but we will always respect each other around this bitch. If you do not have any money to drop, I love to see sunflowers in my comments. It lets me know that you are here, and it lets me know that you are with me, even if you can't give no coins or no crowns. Every night we're going to have a goal of a 10 crown goal. Right now we are at 4. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Shout out to everybody who dropped the crown already. And we always have a 60,000 K like sort of goal. And I appreciate trying to get to it. Last night we got to 65K. We are about at 28K right now. And like I said, we got 4 crowns. I typically like to do a 2-hour conversation. We're at 1 hour and 33 minutes right now. But because of where I'm about to take this conversation, we might have to push it a little bit, because Tia Zaya introduced something to the conversation that I think got both me and Miss Jenny a little like it caught us off guard. And we were like, okay, like
Ooh,
explain.
ooh,
Yeah, I think we just
did
want
I
to
shake the table?
explain.
Did I shake the
Shake
table?
the table.
We got it. So and because we are having this conversation, I do want to have a well-rounded and a full conversation because when you talk about whether or not HIV is a gay thing, you also have to talk about the stigma around dating. Okay, so I'm about to switch us up for a hot little second before we move to the next part of the conversation, and we're gonna change this question.
Now, can I also put a disclaimer first? 'Cause I don't
Mm-hmm.
want no misunderstandings now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, listen, when he told me, I'm not gonna lie, I was ignorant. I was ignorant to the whole, the HIV and just, I can catch it or whatever. And yes, he's on medications and he's taking his things regularly or whatever. It was just for me, it's just the anxiety of like me personally, as I just don't want anything in my body that that I just don't want that. And it's like I can be open about this because we've all been through some fucked up shit. I've caught an STD before, and I did that. Even just with that, yeah, I got rid of it, but even just with that, that traumatized me. So it's just having to experience like what HIV or AIDS or whatever. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I think that would trigger like a PTSD for me.
You
So I just wanted to put that out.
You know what? I appreciate that context. I appreciate. Oh shit, we had 29K. Look, we almost half of the way there to that 60K. Y'all keep tapping them screens and keep sharing. We're having a really good conversation, and I have a feeling it's about to get even better. So the new question that I'm posing to the group is: would you date someone with HIV? Why or why not? Okay. And this comes up for a couple of reasons because I do want to also make sure that we're not using this as a moment to jump on Zaya. And this is not to minimize you, Zaya, but I also recognize that you're younger, right? And so I understand that that's also a part of the reason why you are making the decisions that you make. And with the context that you just gave, I also understand that you are really just trying to keep yourself as safe as like could possibly be. And after having an
Yeah.
experience around having an STD or an STI, I could understand why like that might be a PTSD experience for you. And also, I think that one of the things that we have to be mindful of is the ignorance that we carry with us, even when we do have information. I want to introduce to the chat, for those of you all who may not know, U equals U. And U equals U is undetectable means untransmittable, which is, I'm sure, what the young man was telling you, Zaya, when he was trying to explain that if he took his medicine and he stayed on his medicine, he could
Yes.
not transmit it
Yes.
to you.
Hmm.
And so these are things that have consequences when we don't speak about them in ways that are humanizing to the people that we are interacting with, right? A lot of folks, and I love the fact that you said earlier, you were like, I haven't been with nobody with HIV that I know of. I love that distinction because I think that so many of us would rather be in situations where we're kind of just like both assuming that we know what the things of the things are, and we're hoping that everybody in the situation is being honest, and we're hoping that everybody in the situation kind of sort of goes and gets their things and gets their tagagas done. But that is not always the case. And so sometimes I find it to be a better situation to sort of know that one, somebody is getting tested regularly, or two, know that this person is positive. I had a positive partner at one point in my life, and he was an amazing partner. And let me be very clear, this man was the most like healthy. I'm talking about motherfucker would be up there hiking 4-hour hikes, outrunning me, like just doing all of the things. But it was also because he wanted to make sure that he was keeping his body at tip top shape because he understood the nature of this virus. And he understood that this virus tends to attack people who allow themselves to believe that it's the end of the road. A large part of the reason why people were dying at the height of the AIDS epidemic was because they were believing what the news was saying about it, which was that it was an automatic death sentence. People stopped fighting before they even started to think about, what it could look like to make it through. And when you have so many people, I'm so sorry that she's left already, but Miss Jasmine, Miss Jasmine told us already, like, people were just out here kind of sort of doing whatever they wanted to do, and a lot of those people did not have family members that were working with them. A lot of those people were just left by the wayside, and so it's easy to stop fighting when you don't have a support system. It's easy to stop fighting when mama not visiting you in the hospital. It's easy to stop fighting when you call daddy and you let him know that you're one of the ones that's got it, and he says, good, God is gonna deal with you once you get on the other side. And these are things that people have told me that their parents have said to them once they find out that they are living with HIV. This is not me just throwing hypotheticals out there. My friends who have been living with HIV have told me that they've called their parents from the hospital and been told, well, maybe God will forgive you on the other side. That's basically signing a death warrant for your child. And though there are so many people that don't understand that when you're having conversations with people who are vulnerable enough to say, I have a connection with you, and because of this connection that I have with you, I want to share this part of myself with you, and also let you know that I'm doing the best that I can to make sure that I can protect both you and me. It can come off a way when you say things like, I don't want that in my body, right? And I understand what you mean, but what I want to ensure is that as you're moving through the world and you have different conversations with other people who might not have the patience that I have, because some people do take these conversations to heart, rightfully so, because they are living with these things. And so one of the things that I want to remind you of is that the way that we speak about HIV has been very outdated. The way that we speak about HIV has also been very dehumanizing. And I say we, even though I don't use that language, because I'm not above making a mistake. I don't think that anybody here is above making a mistake. Even if you are a person living with HIV, you can make a mistake. But it's about making sure that when we have these conversations that we're saying things like, that's just not for me, and that's not a risk that I would like to take right now, versus saying, I don't want that in my body. Because I think that sometimes saying that I don't want that in my body implies that this person is unworthy because of their HIV status, versus saying, you know what? I understand that this is not something that could harm me as long as you're doing what you need to do, but that's not a risk that I'm willing to take, because that means I have to trust you explicitly to be doing what you have to do. And I don't know you well enough to know that you are, right? I think that that's a different conversation. And I know that you're probably with us and you're just comfortable and you were just speaking, but also when we are on a platform where at any moment these numbers can go from 36 to 2,000, we don't ever want to be in a space where we're offending people that we're trying to either learn from or be able to teach, because those stigmas will cause people to shut down and start to feel like, you know what, then what's the point of all of this shit? If people are going to say things like that about me, then what's the point? And that was just one of the things that I wanted to introduce into the conversation, because I don't think that it was purposeful. I don't think that you did it on purpose. I just believe that, if you don't say nothing to people, then people don't know.
And Hope, I'm glad you said that, because I do. You just open my eyes to, it did come off a little insensitive. So I do want to take it back to, if I don't know if anybody here has it or whatever. I wasn't trying to be insensitive. I wasn't trying to be careless or whatever. I was just expressing from a genuine place of even when he told me about it, I didn't disrespect him or anything. I didn't do none of that. I felt bad for him in a way, because it's just I know that that's something he deals with on a regular basis, because everybody's not informed about HIV, and I'm one of those people. And I've also did research on it. I could be on PrEP. I would not catch it, and he's on medication. But the thing is this, though. Life happens and things are unpredictable sometimes, and it's just for me to having to just put myself in a situation where, what if he stopped taking his medication or whatever? And, what if there's something doesn't happen correctly, and then I do catch it, and that's something that I do not want to genuinely have. And that's just my preference. And it's just, once again, I'm not trying to belittle anybody. I'm not trying to make somebody feel bad or whatever. You know, I love you, but I love myself more. And so that's all I'm saying.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. Tessa, I saw that you said that you had a point that you wanted to offer.
Yeah, I think I don't want to pronounce her name wrong. What, Zaya?
Zaya.
Okay. I think you just segued into my point. I think the best way of loving yourself is also taking precautions, right? If we are understanding that, because again, this is not, like I said earlier, this is not just no more a gay thing, right? Cis and trans individuals, gay or straight individuals can have this as well. And so goes back to like what I've also learned is like part of loving myself is also taking precautions, right? So it would alleviate some of the anxiety that I do have, right? Because if I know that I'm taking care of myself in every area possible, right, to help prevent any STD transmission or HIV transmission, then that will satiate the mindset that I can contract something, right? Because each year, and I've been working within healthcare for the last 5, it's been a progression within PrEP, right? We have now Apertude, and that is a 4 times a year drug injection that you get, and you won't have to worry about taking a pill every single day. You see what I'm saying? So the progression in preventatives have definitely helped satiate my anxiety when it comes down to dating someone with HIV. Plus, Hope, when I met you, my partner at the time was HIV positive. And so it was that was also a thing of mine because we kind of helped each other. You know, I helped maintain making sure that he stayed on his part of the deal per se, and making sure he stays healthy, stays cautious, and doing the things that he do, because he was also the same way, Hope, very on top of his eating habits, very on top of his activity, very active individual, but he was also what I call an info. You know, they like to be outside and they like to get their things and they like to do the things, okay? And that was okay, but it's all about those preventatives and making sure that you're taking care of yourself so you won't have to worry about having an effect on another person.
I hear that.
Agree.
David, Cash, and then David. Go ahead, Cash.
Okay, so I just want to say this because I know that the world that we live in is so sensitive to everything, especially with like the internet. I feel like it is perfectly okay for somebody to not want to date someone with HIV. Like, because I know people, like, I've said this before, like, it's crazy because I was just talking about this with my friends like 2 weeks ago. And we was like, I don't think that I would actually, I'm going to be real with you. I personally don't think that I'm mature enough to date a person with HIV. Like, I feel like I'm 22 years old. Like, I feel like it's too risky. I feel like it's too scary. I feel like I'm too young to even think about the possibility of having HIV. Like, that freaks me out. Like, I wouldn't want to date nobody who's positive. I'm trying to be like cautious with words, but I just don't think that I'm mature enough. And I also think that everybody is way too sensitive because I feel like, do you know how?
I'm
Do
sorry,
you?
Cash. I'm sorry. Zaya, get on my nerve.
Yes, I'm from. Can you hear my? Yes,
Man,
I'm
a young
seriously young
whippersnapper.
sugar. Like, no shade. Like, I ain't got time. Yes, I'm from New Orleans. Girl, not you could tell. I hate that. But what I'm basically trying to say is like everything's too inclusive. Like I feel like because of the way we are in, everybody is sensitive because none of them has ever had character built. Like today, it's like, for example, I'm gonna use school for an example, right? Mm-hmm. You try for the cheerleading team, everybody gets on it, nobody gets cut anymore. It's like, so nobody's ever heard no before. So when people hear no, it's like they panic. They be like, no. Why wouldn't you date a person with HIV? Is PrEP? Is this or that? And it's be like, girl, I just don't want to. Like, if a person be like, "Oh, I don't like gay people," I'm like, "Okay, cool." Like, I really don't give a fuck. Like, it's not even little shit. Like, I don't care if you like gay people or not, girl. I'm gay, and I'm gay out loud. So it's like, whether you like a gay person or not, that does not affect me. So if I don't want to date a person with HIV, I feel like it's fair for me not to want to. Like, respectfully, I'm gonna just keep this real. I don't care if you're like undetectable. I don't care about any of that. Yet I even take PrEP because I'm just scared of the thought of like it freaks me out. Like the first time I ever took PrEP, I actually like the way it makes me feel. If y'all take PrEP, if y'all ever get like a cold and y'all got PrEP, y'all should take it because it flush your whole system out. It make your nose run and everything. It just gets everything out of you. So like if y'all ever, it just take it if you got a cold or a headache because the shit works. But me personally, I just think that's very like, I think it's insensitive for a person to expect you to be okay with dating a person with HIV.
That's
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna take PrEP for my immune system.
Please don't.
Wait, so repeat that. Wait, repeat that. I didn't hear that correct. I don't think I heard that correctly.
I said that's a good idea. I'm gonna take PrEP for my immune
That is
system.
not a good idea. That is
No, that's not. No, not that part though. But what you say, last Cash?
I said I think it's insensitive for a person to expect you to be okay with dating a person who has HIV.
I just want y'all to know that I got something to say after David go.
I was gonna say,
but I kind of agree with Cash though, because it's like if someone was telling me that they got gonorrhea or chlamydia, girl, what?
Yeah, but
what?
hold on. Wait. Oh,
but no. It's all in the same. It's all in the same class.
But no, okay. So
no, it's not.
Here we are.
No.
Okay.
No, we're not.
Okay.
No, we're not.
We have to be because first of all, what I do agree with Cash is that in some spaces we are too sensitive, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot, like there is so much shit that you can't say no more because this person is gonna have their feelings hurt. I had to give a whole precursor. You know what I'm saying? Like, and sometimes you just want to say the thing that's honest and hope that people understand that your heart is in the right place. What I also challenge in that particular moment, though, is treating people the way that you would want somebody to treat you if you were in that situation. And it does not mean that you have to want to engage with that person. But I think that when we talk about not wanting to engage with that person, how are we doing that? Right? How are we saying or how are we turning down? How are we saying or how are we turning down? I disagree. LOL. People say whatever. They just don't like pushback. I want to hear more about that. Yen, freedom of speech, had freedom of pushback. I think that I would like to hear more about that, Yen, if you keep typing. But I think that there is a way that you talk to people. There's a way that you say certain things. And I think that I love that, Cash, that you're in a place where you're like, if people say they don't like gay people, fuck that. And fuck them people. That's cool. Not everybody is built that way. And I think that when you think about the stigma that comes with becoming HIV positive, especially in those early years, I'm not talking about months, I ain't talking about weeks, I ain't talking about days, those early years where you're really trying to navigate that. I've had friends where I've been in the room with them when they found out that they've had HIV. And those first years, I feel like I had to, it was like my friends watching me go through my transition. I literally had to watch my friends rebuild themselves. And I wish that there was somebody, I wish that Miss Jasmine was still here because I know Miss Jasmine is living with HIV. But if there's somebody who's actually living with HIV, I would like to ask for somebody to drop down so that we can have a more, an open dialogue with somebody who's actually living with HIV. But I want to push back and say, Cash.
Hold on.
Mm-hmm. I respect your choice. I don't think that there's anything wrong with not wanting to date a person with HIV. And I also respect the fact that you said two things that were important. One, you don't think that you're mature enough to do that at this point. And to me, what that says, and I know you didn't say this, I'm putting words in your mouth. But what that says to me is that you are not mature enough, which means that with more information, with more time, you just might find yourself in a space where you could see yourself being with somebody that has HIV. However, I respect that right now, today, Cash, right here in this moment, 22-year-old version of you is like, no, it's scary. I would rather not have to navigate the fear. I'm going to take my PrEP to make sure that I'm doing what I got to do on my end. But if I have to choose between somebody that I know has it and somebody that I know does not, I'm going to choose the person that does not. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. It's about the tone that that we use when we talk about those things. I can
Wait, do you
see
feel like I was like
And
tone like
Hope.
you feel like I was like tone deaf when I said that?
I think in some parts of it was tone deaf, but I also think that that's just culture too. I have a bunch of friends from New Orleans, and like I know that most of the time y'all don't mean no harm, because when y'all mean harm, you can tell, right? But I
I was
think
about to
that
say you sound just like a regular New Orleans person to me.
yeah, I was
Yes,
gonna
I'm gonna say
say
I'm just talking like regularly.
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
But
I'm
Hope, but
that's
Hope.
my home,
So
so I
Hope,
know.
I have a question. So when it comes down to what I said, because I want to bring clarity, because
Mhm.
I did say that HIV and STDs are kind of similar or the same. But the reason why I say that is because, for one, when you're going to the clinic, when you're going to the clinic or whatever, what are you testing for? You're getting tested for sexually transmitted diseases or STI, whatever you want to call it. And all that you're looking for HIV/AIDS. You're looking for all. It's all in the same category. And
Mhm.
I'm not saying I'm not trying to be insensitive. I don't know if it's the way that I'm saying it or whatever, but or choice of words. But it's mainly just like I'm just expressing the fact on what I am aware of in my reality. Now you can correct me if I'm ignorant on certain things, but it's just because I know somebody got a little offended when I said it. I
Yeah,
just
no,
want to make sure.
Zaya, I think that a lot of it, and I want to be mindful, y'all. Like, it's no need for us to get hot up here. Again, we can disagree. We just got to be respectful to one another. That's it. I just think that one of the things that we have to be mindful of is that, and I agree with Field of Honey, other transmitted diseases are not held with the same weight, right? And so we have to be reminded of the social stigma that comes behind HIV versus, like, people will tell you, oh, like how you say, Isaiah, oh, I've had an a STD or STI, I can't remember what you said, but you said you've had a little something before, but obviously it was something that you could probably get rid of, and you were like, boom, right? When you tell somebody that you have HIV, folks kind of know that that's a lifelong situation. The same thing with HSV, right? And especially if you have genital HSV or HSV2 in your genital area, people are more likely to, shrug off the cold sores, especially if you don't have them often. But even if you don't have breakouts often in your groin area or in your private area, people who know that you have HSV2 down there are also just as stigmatized, about people wanting to date them. And so I think that different strokes for different folks and different realities for different,
I feel the same about that too.
STIs or transmissions. And it does not make your opinion wrong.
Mhm.
I'm not trying to vilify you or Cash for just saying, like, my sexual health and also my mentality is not going to allow me to be in relationship and also have to navigate those two things. I would rather not. There is nothing wrong with that. I think that the way that we discuss that with our partners, and also the way that we discuss it when we are having a public conversation, which is why what Cash is saying is also still very fucking valid, about the idea that not only do I not necessarily feel like I should have to justify the reason for why, even though I don't mind giving it to you, but then it's also, then I have to tone police myself when I'm giving that reason, which can be frustrating, but also, why is being respectful so frustrating to us when we would like people to give us that same respect back? And I think that that's the part that makes people kind of sort of cringe and look wrong. It's not necessarily the tone of what you're saying. It's just like people are asking for basic things. Like, when you say a thing, say it with respect to me, the way that you would want me to say a thing that could be hard to you. And I think that a lot of people miss that part in the vein of saying, like, oh, well, we have, everything is so PC and people are so sensitive. But there are some topics that I think should be handled with a little bit of a kid glove, just a little bit of one. And if we can do that, I think that the conversations become easier because people are leading with empathy and not just being like, well, I'm gonna say what I have to say because I don't mean no harm. And if you don't realize that, then fuck you. Because not everybody's
But
gonna
how
feel
would
like
you
that.
know? How would you know? Because sometimes people be overly sensitive, and it's like anything that you say that you
Can be
like. Okay,
triggering to
just
some
for just
people.
just for the simple fact that I said that I don't want to deal with, I don't want to have anybody that has that in their system giving it to me, even with just that may trigger somebody. And so it's just like either way it goes, I listen, damn if I do, damn if I don't.
Mhm.
Either way it goes, I'm gonna be deemed as disrespectful. Either way it goes, whether if I'm being cautious or whether or not people, I can't please everybody.
Mhm.
And it is what it is. Now, I've also stated that I'm not trying to be insensitive either, because I know that I'm ignorant to certain things about the HIV thing. I'm only aware about what I was taught or what I was shown about what HIV/AIDS is. But that's it. But all I know is, period, point blank, no matter what you tell me or whatever, I don't want that in my system.
I mean, hold on,
But at the
but
same
here's
time,
the
like
it's hold on, hold
we
on.
do have to be
Can I say
real
this?
though.
Yeah, I was.
One second.
Yeah.
So like we do have to be real though. Like when you like we have to be mindful of the space that you're in. Like so if you know that you're coming into a conversation about like HIV and stuff like that, we all know that this is a sensitive topic. Like we were saying earlier, like there is a stigma around the topic. So if you know that you can't talk about it, then don't talk about it. No shade. That's just me though. That's how I feel.
Well,
Like
and then
I feel like if it's something that you know that you can't talk about or that you are bad at talking about, then just don't. But at the same, so like it's not
I
to say
kind of
that
disagree
it's
with
not
that.
to say that certain opinions don't matter. But if you but don't get up but don't like know that don't get into a space, know that you don't know how to speak, and then complain when people take issue with how you speak.
But
Like you know what you
but
walked into.
hey, can I
Just
say
keep it
this
real.
right quick, because
Go
this
ahead.
is
Go
this
ahead.
is the insensitive part to it, where how it comes off. You act like the person did not want that in their system either. That's where the
Right.
insensitive part comes in, right? Because you say it like as if it happens onto them and they're just supposed like you see what I'm saying? It's like, well, shit, I didn't want it in my system either, girl. So like, it just happened.
So
You see what I'm saying?
am I supposed to just lay in my brain and just take it because you
No, 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 no,
was a
no,
victim
no, no,
of
no,
it?
no, no. That's not what I'm saying. It's when you're being conscious about how you're saying things, because again, tone matters, right? It's a difference. That's like it's a difference. Tone matters. That's it. That's it. Like right there. Just as
Okay,
simple as that.
so let me go. So let me go ahead and fix my tone. So y'all, I respectfully do not want that kind of substance, or I'm sorry, that type of um disease, or I'm sorry, no,
It's a
that type
virus.
of
It's a virus.
virus
Yeah.
and flowing through my bodily fluids and systems and bloods or whatever you call it. So I want to be I want to be respectful of the HIV situation, but I don't me respectfully meet my preference. I don't want that in my system. If God was to tell me to come down and tell me, bitch, this person's gonna be in your life, gonna be your life partner for life, then I will lay down with that person without any medication and I'll be fine with getting it in my system. But until then, I'm not sacrificing myself just to be with someone just
Girl,
because I'm taking medication.
Hope Lily gave like a quick alternative like lump before that. That's actually kind of crazy that it went in one ear and out the other. But that's you go ahead.
Lady.
Okay, I want to answer. I want to answer the
Wait, John,
question, and I have a different perspective as
Wait,
well
wait, wait.
because
Okay,
I
wait.
am someone
David.
who actually is living with it.
Okay, thank you, David.
So I just been listening to everybody. So I didn't take no offense to anything nobody said because she did first said that she wasn't trying to be rude or insensitive or anything like that. So to me, it's like ask your question and see what you got to say. Um, but because I remember the time where I was younger. I'm 34 now, from New Orleans. So I remember a time where I was like, I'm not fucking with nobody that have that. Like you tell me you have it, and I'm like, no, I'm not messing with you. So what changed my mind is one of my exes got it, and then one of my cousins got it, and I used to be on them, bring them to the doctor. Have them helping them get their medicine and just finding new information. And then also I was on a prep program before the shot prep came in. I was one of the testers. So I got a lot of information about it. And I only ended up with it because I was never one to go mess around with anybody. I only mess with people that I got close with and I was in a relationship with or something like that. So I actually got it from somebody that I consider real close, what I thought. It was like real close. But when I went to the doctor and found out, I was not like my cousin was boohooing crying or my ex was ready to kill herself. Because I was more informed and I know how to deal with it. I know it wasn't a death sentence. So I don't feel any type of way, the way that you're saying it, because I know how I used to be, and I know what to expect, and I feel like it's my responsibility to educate others that don't mean any harm. Like it's always the lack of information. Even with my family, when I went to tell my family, it's always the lack of information that I noticed. They're scared. My mom was scared. She thinking that I'm about to die or some bullshit. And then my uncle had it, and he passed away, but he didn't pass away from that. He passed away from COVID, but he was never around, and I didn't want to be like that. I hesitated with even telling them because it took me like 2 months after finding. I found it out on my 30th, like 5 days before my 30th birthday, and in my head I was like, "Damn, well I went all these years while there. Fuck, look, it happened." When the doctor, literally when I was at the doctor, she told me, I was like, "Okay, well, how long this gonna take? Because I need to go make some money. I need to get back to work." And she was like, "That's crazy." She was like, "I'm not trying to laugh at you, but I have never seen nobody react that type of way." I'm like, "Well, I know all I need to know. Like, nothing you can tell me. I just, give my medicine so I can do what I have to do to take care of myself." And I do have a partner. I have had partners after that. I have had what 3, 4 partners since, and I do let them know. Uh, it always a hesitant. I want to make sure I connect with the person. I really like the person. We're not getting involved in any type of way. I'm not just gonna boom have sex with you or nothing like that. But I do have a hesitant. I'm not just gonna be upfront like first date. Look, this is what it is. But I know people that is like that. That's like that, and I commend them. But I feel like if you're not going to be in my life, then what does it matter to me? And what does it matter to you? I'm not doing you no harm. You're not doing me no harm. But with my partner of 4 years now, uh, I'm really open with him. Like if I'm low on my medicine, I'll be like, I got to go to the doctor. I'm taking my medicine in front of him because I wanted to reinsure him, especially like the first year. I wanted to reinsure him that I'm taking care of myself so I can take care of us. And that's a lot of people. I met people that mindset is not like that. I met someone, the person that actually gave it to me. When I met him, he didn't tell me, and I found out he told somebody else that he didn't even know, and that was crazy. But I didn't want to take that route. I didn't want to be that person because that's not who I am, and I didn't want to just go out, not take no medicine, not even look for it. So I stood around him for a while just because I was like trying to figure out what's wrong. And I asked him a question, and he was like, nobody told me. The person didn't tell me. And this is when he got it when he was in high school. And I felt some type of way, but at the same time I felt sad for him. And I realized that he didn't know enough information to actually get through it, get his medicine, know where to go, know what, like, because he thought he had to pay for it so much. I found him a doctor to go to get free medicine, to get free insurance, they have free dental. They'll lift you there and back if you need it. I'm in Houston right now. It's Avenue 360. So uh, I had stuck with him, and I got only for a reason because I felt like I didn't want him to keep doing this. If he didn't know the information, I want to make sure he know the information and make sure if he want to see how he move, basically, if he want to be on the right path, if he want to do better. So I gave him an information. He got on the medicine. He started taking it. I even before that, I started taking my medicine in front of him because I want him to feel safe because I know how the outside world could look at us. But I can answer any question y'all have.
So, David, I have a question, right?
Uh-huh.
Because I'm glad you shared your story. And listen, I love you so much for you to be vulnerable and just you educated me as well. But like, it's kind of similar and y'all can hop on me if y'all want. But it's kind of similar when it comes to me as a trans woman. It's like me having to deal with the pressure of I have to tell this man about my situation that
I'm
I
so
am a
happy you
trans
speaking on
girl.
that because that was gonna be my next question.
Yeah, and then
Yeah, so
my ex
that's
was a trans as
so
well, so I
yeah.
understand that
A trans
perspective.
what?
Well, if
A trans what?
she's a trans woman now.
Okay.
Okay, so
Yeah,
that's one thing because see, but people don't know where I come from because there's a lot more context behind why I say what I say. Because for one, I already got one strike. I have to tell a person, hey, so I'm trans. That's one strike. And then me having to also, let's say that I sacrificed myself for a person that I thought that I loved, that I thought was going to be forever. And now I got HIV. And now I have to tell the next other people that I want to have encounters with that now that, hey, I'm trans and two, I'm HIV. That's all. And then people are already
yeah, it's
ignorant towards
layers.
trans. People are already ignorant towards trans and people are already ignorant towards HIV. So that's something that I'm just like, listen, I already got a gang of people trying to just eradicate me from my
Right,
own
like villainize
existence.
you and
You know what I'm
Yeah.
take
saying?
you down.
So
Yeah,
it's a lot of that going on. So I'm just like, so my question is, how do you handle the situation of having to tell people that you're interested in, like, hey, this is X, Y, and Z. If you don't want to deal with it, I understand, etc. But like, how do you feel having to put yourself in that spotlight?
it it's it's always nerve wracking. Always nerve wracking. Is I have a trans daughter. A gay family. So I have a trans daughter, and I'm always on her, and I see how things are with her and the trans community that I am around. Uh, I have people came up to me asking me, telling me like they know like, oh, this trans person got HIV. Just everybody's saying that they put trans and they put HIV together, or they put trans and they put uh, prostitutes together. Like I don't like that, and I do get why it's hard for you to even try to fathom even being with somebody with HIV. Uh, it's a really hard, difficult conversation, and that is having this open me up to having difficult conversations with my partner. Because I'm like, shit, what if I could tell you this, that we can have this conversation and be good? I'm making sure you good. I'm making sure I'm good, and we making sure we good. Then everything else should go a little smoother. We should be able to have them difficult conversations after that. But it's like a test because I have been in a situation where somebody wrote it like me, and I was feeling them, and then I told them. This is my first time telling somebody. I told them, but I told them through phone, not in person, and ghosted me, and I was feeling like shit. I was like, damn, this is why I get why nobody want to say nothing. But I have also been that person as well, so I can't be too upset. But it's a real difficult conversation after I feel like we are getting close to that bedroom action or anything dealing with that, and I'm like, okay, I'm really feeling this person, like, and I know they're really feeling me. I pull them over to the side. Maybe we're in a room or we're at a park or somewhere. It's just us, and they feel safe and everything. And I kind of like blurted it out. Like it's no other way to say it. Like I kind of just blurted out. I don't really say who gave it to me or how it happened in that moment because I don't want that to be the main focus. Uh, so I just let them know that I have it and ask them how do they feel about it? Do they have any questions? That's the last thing I say. Do you have any questions? Like, what do you want to see? Like, how do you feel? Because I just laid all my cards on the table. I'm always one to just lay the cards on the table with any relationship. And I just receive them however they, whatever they, wherever they at right now in that moment. I just receive it. I'm not gonna get mad if they get upset, if they blurt out or anything. I don't take it there.
I have a question. It's for both David and what's your name? Is there? I'm looking for the name so I can pronounce it properly.
Are you
Uh,
me, Zaya, or
yeah, yeah. All right. So let me answer the question. Let me
Agua?
answer the, so let me don't do that, please. All right. Let me first answer the question. Well, I have a question first. What is a John? I was kept asking, but I didn't know what is a
I
John.
put it in the comments like 4 times. A John is a man that is paying for smecks, case.
All right, cool. Thanks. I never saw. My apologies.
You
All
didn't
right,
know that?
let me go on to
Guys, I
also.
never know that.
Oh, we got
Sir,
another
you
Agua
realize
in
where I live, right?
here.
You realize where I live, right? Like, how would
Yes,
I
I
know?
know where you live, and they say that in the church. You go see our John after the church.
I
The
don't go to
meeting.
church. I don't go to church.
Oh, that's why.
I go to
I
church. I go
stopped
to
going
church
to
with
church. I'm
you.
like 12 years old, bro. Anyways, that's 20 years ago. All right, so let me make a statement. Yes, I'd be somebody who has whatever it may be. I don't care. I care about the connection, right? I'm not someone that really goes around. That's reality. I kind of stay to myself. If we don't have a connection, we don't have a connection. And for me to have a connection, it has to be real serious. That being said, when I was hearing David and Zaya talking, I was like, okay, so you guys face a lot of pressure or from people around you, family, friends, otherwise, and also people you may potentially be interested in, correct? And I'm like, that's a lot, I stand out, right? Being the way I am in terms of being an open-minded person and kind of focusing on things that are more progressive, which is not really a thing that people like to do in my country, commonly speaking, right? They like when you operate a particular way. So I'm not a kind of outcast at times then. But what I find happen is that I have people who are supportive of me and that does everything. You get me? And then I understand that people can only support me to so much and no more in certain areas, and I become more comfortable with that. Mind you, I've been to therapy. I do a lot of research. I do a lot of study a lot of different things to help me to stabilize myself. But I can say, boy, it's a lot hearing what you guys have to go through, though. I really hope that you guys find whatever piece you may need in whatever circumstances that you're in, and that you truly find the kind of conscience you want to find. I'm a bit more strict about in terms of, when I say strict, in terms of if you don't accept me for me, I'm already gone past you. Probably because that's a Jamaican in me. You get me? There's no two ways about it. Like, yo, you don't fit the bill, just don't fit the bill. It doesn't matter how much I like you, how much you want me. Like, there's certain things that are qualifiers for me to have a relationship, but it would never be your status in terms of STD or STI. I don't care about that. People know me know I don't care about that. I care about how you make your choices, how you go about life, who you are as an individual, not necessarily what you have physically or material wise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cause like
So
when it
David and Zed, do you think there ways you could
One
help
second.
oh sorry.
I do want to make space for Grounded Spring because they got added like a good 15 minutes ago and have not been able to get in. So I want to make sure Grounded Spring gets some time to be able to interject into the conversation.
Oh, thank you, thank you. So something that I was thinking about that has been helpful for me. So I'll say I'm not someone living with HIV, and I think the last 6 years especially has opened my eyes to disability as a major point where I wasn't as educated on it, and because of the pandemic, because of a lot of information that became accessible to me because of the pandemic, I started to understand better just like how to reframe my understanding of being quote unquote healthy and the hierarchies that people create in relation to health. And it's not always malicious, but I think what I've noticed is that especially when it comes to sexuality and sex. I even saw on Twitter the other day, like someone, pointing out that there isn't a sexual act that isn't risky behavior. But a lot of people try to create this hierarchy where it's like, oh, my risk is better than your risk. And I think that feeds into a lot of this stigma that we've been talking about. And for me, specifically, why I no longer call myself a quote unquote healthy person. And I'll say in the past, I was an athlete. I was like, sort of like quote unquote watching my eating. But I abandoned that because as I saw like the abandonment that has happened over the past 6 years on various scales, like the public abandoning you in relation to like COVID or anything, the government abandoning people, I realized that a lot of people actually don't really care about health. And for me, what mutual aid and a lot of what we've seen in the last few years have shown is that community care, or I should say this, overemphasizing someone's individual responsibility to quote unquote take care of themselves is never going to be enough unless we have the community care. And for me, it's important for me to not say that I'm healthy, but I have the resources to take care of myself. And that reframing has been helpful because it's like I am less quick to judge somebody if I understand that they may not have the resources to take care of themselves. And I think what came up for me with a lot of this conversation is like, okay, what folks were sharing, I think this was David and some other people, is that like, okay, there's one thing to say that you do not want to get HIV. It's another thing to understand the community care that it takes to prevent the spread. And I think that is more important for me. And I want to be clear that it's a both and. It's individuals, being able to take care of themselves, and then there's the resources to take care of ourselves. And I feel like I'll say this too. I think one thing that has been really eye-opening also is that specifically in relation to COVID, which is another disabling virus. And I don't know where people stand in this space right now, but me understanding that it's still ongoing, but people have forgotten about it and purposefully, don't take precautions anymore. So for me, it becomes confusing when, there's knowledge about how we protect ourselves from an airborne illness, but then people are specifically not doing that. But there's still, again, this tendency for people to say, oh, I don't want that or anything. So I feel like there's just a lot of hypocrisy when it comes to how people talk about public health, quote unquote, and what people are willing to do. So for me, it's been helpful to reframe so that I am not being part of that hierarchy creation where I'm just saying like, oh yeah, I'm a healthy person and this person is less healthy than me. And I'm like, there are a lot of different examples where people are literally born into spaces where they can't take care of myself. Like we see this in a lot of different ways. Like there are Black people who live in communities where out of their control, people are building data centers in their communities. They cannot breathe the air that's in their communities. They're becoming disabled because of those circumstances. And in those cases, it's like, okay, people don't have the means to take care of themselves. So I think there's a lot of examples specifically with Black people, multi-marginalized Black people, where we are quick to individualize a lot of systemic issues. And like I said before, it's a both and. And I'll end with this saying that, like, I feel like, the question of would you date someone with HIV, there was a panel or space that I was a part of earlier in the pandemic where people were saying like, okay, there's a reframing of that question too, is like, do HIV negative people deserve to date HIV positive person? Because a lot of HIV negative people will be bigoted, will be harmful. And I think, again, it's just like, how often are we checking ourselves, or did we just give ourselves, wash our hands of a lot of the work that goes into community care because we see ourselves as a healthy person and we don't feel that we need to show up and support a lot of the efforts that are keeping the most vulnerable of us alive.
Thank you so much for that grounded spring. Y'all, I typically only do 2 hours. I'm pushing it to to 2 hours and 30 minutes today. So I want to give everybody a chance to give your final thoughts about any of the topics that we covered, meaning this particular topic right now, would you date somebody with HIV? And the previous and the original topic, which was, do you believe that HIV is just a gay thing? It doesn't have to be answering those questions. You could just give your final thoughts about either one of those two topics. Try to keep it short and sweet. And I'm going to start from Kais, and then we'll move in order. Grounded Spring, since you just went, I'm going to skip you and you'll go last after Tessa.
All right. I'm glad to hear everybody's viewpoint. I guess I took for granted what that some people feel pressured by these situations. I'm forgetting that not everybody's as open or has the support system I may have. So hearing what David and Zay had to say was a bit refreshing. You get me? That other they have their concerns that they have, and in whatever way you guys need to work at it, with a therapy, with finding the right people, or waiting to get the right, just right people on a whole. They're there. Once you decide to be the right person, you'll find the right people come to you. I wish you all the strength that there is to go along that path, to find it and find them.
Thank you, guys. Zaya?
So on the first prompt, is HIV a gay disease? Hell no. And the second, on this one, would I date someone with HIV? With my current mindset right now, with what Cash said earlier, child, I'm not mature for this shit. And and I'm just being real about it. And it's like, baby, no, because I know my nerve. I know how I have anxiety. I know how my brain works, and it's just I got to be honest with me, and I got to be honest with you, because guess what, baby, I don't want you to feel like you're stressed out because you want to keep me sane. So it's a no for me, but it's love for the people that do have it, and I understand what it feels to be rejected just by me existing as a trans woman. So I understand what it feels like. So just know that I love you and you are deserving of love, and you gonna find your match, baby. Period.
Okay. Ski?
So I came back, but no, I don't think it's a gay thing. I kind of came back because of Cash and Zaya, and I did just want to impart things on you guys because I was telling them, I've had scares because people did not inform me about certain things, and I've had issues with the hospital not necessarily checking me because all of my test results have always been healthy, so it don't make sense to test me, right? But I also go to the gym. I'm not sure if you guys do, but we had this thing where people were sweating too much, and that's how people got herpes, because warm sweat, whatever. So I would just tell you guys is, if you haven't done so already, just go on PrEP, because I understand your mindset, but not everyone's going to be like David. Some people, they just not going to tell you. Some people will not even know. So just take the PrEP, because you don't want to be surprised, right? If you already have anxiety, just do things to get rid of the anxiety, because that's what I do. Because if you breathe on me the wrong way, I want to go to the hospital. It don't even got to be HIV.
Yeah. I feel that. Lady P?
Yeah, so I feel like yeah, as far as the first topic, I already got my thoughts on this one. Well, anybody that's dating me is, so ask them. But as far as like the conversation of HIV, I think we ain't never gonna be free if we don't come into these social topics, being more intentional about how we say things. If we're not being intentional about the goal that we have in mind when we enter certain spaces, then baby, you're just talking at that point. So that's all I'm gonna say.
Cash?
It's obvious that HIV is just not a gay disease because straight people catch it. So that's literally that right there. I still stand in solidarity with my stance that I would not knowingly date nobody with HIV. And I get that there are certain people that are willing to, but I just feel like if you're willing to, that's perfectly fine. But the same way like certain people feel certain ways about certain things in a way they should not have to just accept things because society has them to, or it's the politically correct thing to do. That's genuinely how I feel about that. I feel like it's okay for me to not want to do that. And also, I just want to shout out David because you're just such a strong black man. I love that for you. Such a black king, and we're from the same city, so I'm already knowing how much of a real nigga you is. Just off the strength.
Let me find out. Anyway, go ahead, David.
Thank
Now,
you.
Hope.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I really do. It wasn't easy just now. I promise you it wasn't. I was shaking the whole time. But that is usually how most of the conversation goes, like with anybody. First question, HIV is definitely not just a gay thing. Most of the people I see go in and out that office are women. I am someone living with HIV. Before this, it took me time to actually date someone with it. I forgot to mention that I did date one person that had it, and he made sure we both were safe. And it was like a iffy thing at first, scary thinking about having sex, but I really trusted him, and he gave me reassurance, and he gave me even more of the strength to be the way I am now because I did end up with it. So I do look back on that and do appreciate him for everything he did do with that. But I also do get what Cash is saying and what Zay is saying. Because it is really difficult. It's like you shouldn't have to deal with nothing that you don't want to deal with. That's all. If you don't want to deal with it, you don't deal with it. I feel like people should be more upfront about it, but it is a scary and hard topic, and nobody wants to feel rejected. People are so afraid of rejection and just being themselves that they end up hurting the next person.
I hear that.
But get prep. They have the shot, they have the pill. Get it, try it out. If you can't do it, because every medicine is not for everybody, wrap it up. Or you get tested and your partner get tested. If you don't want to wrap it up, y'all get tested before y'all do anything. That's a scary conversation to have too, a hard conversation to have too, but it's something that needs to be had.
All right, Tessa.
Is HIV a gay thing? Obviously, no. So that's my point on it. It's a human thing. And then on to this one. I dated someone with HIV. It was a great relationship outside of other things. HIV was never really an issue for me. Like I said, in my states, precautions. Taking precautionary measures is also part of your self-love, should be part of your self-love regimen. If you are an adult who is sexually active, making sure that your health is on par and protected should be one of your number one priorities, regardless of anybody else's status. So that's what I say to that. So anybody else's status should, as long as you are protected and you are clear in all of your avenues, no one else's status should really take any effect onto you. So that would be my stance into that, and that would be my conclusion to the conversation.
And Grounded Spring?
Yeah, with the first question, I think no, it's not a gay disease or anything like that. But I think as we talked about, it's important to recognize that that's a belief that people have, and beliefs are unfortunately sometimes more powerful than the truth. So like recognizing that also, okay, this is what people believe in, and given how it's disproportionately affected queer communities, then you have to take that into account too. So I think there's the fact that it's false and that can be a distraction, but at the same time, it's like the fact that that is what people believe, and that's like an issue that we have to deal with. And I know we've already talked about that. And then with the question of would you date someone with HIV, I have and will. And I think, like I said before, it's really just matter of like, how am I showing up in a way that is practicing, like me practicing community care, because that's the only way we're going to be able to do anything related to public health, if it's a communal effort. So
First and foremost, I want to say thank you to all of y'all for coming up here and one, being respectful to me, being respectful to the space that I'm trying to create, and then being respectful to one another. I want to shout out to both Cash and Zaya for standing on your opinions, even though they were not the most popular ones. I love people that not only are just like contrarians for the sake of being contrarian because everybody else saying this, so I'm gonna say this, but people who genuinely believe what they're saying and can be respectful and disagree while also holding space for other people and how they feel. David, thank you so much for getting up here and being vulnerable. I did not think that you were shaking the entire time, so you got through that and you catfished us all. And you sounded really strong doing it. I agree with Cass. That's the Black King right there. And I really appreciate the way that you brought that real life, real experience perspective. Also, thank you to Miss Jasmine. She's not here anymore, but she also brought that perspective as well. Lady P, I thank you for standing 10 toes down on how you feel about language. I feel the same way. I think that there's also other nuances and pieces that I'm just not willing to fight based off of certain parts of what I know about things, because I know that people are going to grow. I know that people are going to expand, and doing that type of work in a TikTok live is just not possible. But we got some of that work started here. Before I get into my final thoughts, I just want to let y'all know, thank y'all so much for anybody who has donated, to anybody who has sent coins tonight, to anybody who has tapped that screen. We got up to 42K. It wasn't my 60 goal, but it's all good. We got 4 crowns tonight. It wasn't my 10 goal, but it's all good. And I did see a lot of sunflowers in the comments, and that always makes me feel really good. So even if
Come on, y'all. Get that likes up, y'all. Come on, get them likes up. Come on, y'all. We can do
it's
this.
all good. Even if you don't have any coins to give or any crowns to throw, I appreciate seeing those sunflowers. And I also appreciated seeing so many dope conversations in the comments. I loved how y'all were affirming each other, y'all were educating each other, y'all were connecting and doing all those things. This is what these spaces are for me. It's about being able to have fun, have a kiki, have some educational moments, and leave people thinking about things that they didn't think about before, or leave them thinking about those things in new ways. So to wrap us up, what I'm going to say about all of this is that at the end of the day, HIV does not discriminate, no matter who you are, what sex you identify, or what gender you identify as, who you're having sex with. HIV does not care. And as Grounded just said, we are disproportionately affected as Black people. And so at the end of the day, regardless of how you feel about it or how you feel about people who have it, we have to make sure that we're educating one another on how to stay safe, how to remain in a space where we can continue to prioritize our health in ways that are going to keep us around longer, and also affirming one another so that we don't feel like we have to walk around with secrets, but we can walk around in the power of our truth without letting other people feel like they have the power to take away our humanity. With that being said, I will see y'all tomorrow evening at 9 p.m. PST and midnight EST. Until next time, I'll holla at y'all. Good night, everybody.
All right, love.
Bye.